Hello. Oh, okay. I'm Bryan Lomax, and as you can see, right next to me is my good friend CP. He thought he'd, well, I asked, to be honest. I find that when I'm doing these things live and it's just me chatting by myself, it's not quite as energetic.
Anything longer than an hour, it's a chore.
Yeah. So I put the feelers out, and CP was, he's got nothing better to do with his life, clearly.
Yeah.
So
Why are the two Brits the one that are free right now?
yeah. So I recently sustained quite a nasty injury to my body. I've got a fractured collarbone and a fractured humerus in my arm. So if this side of my body tonight looks rather inanimate, that is why. If the production on things ends up going tits up, that is why, because I'm doing it left-handed, so it might be a bit slow. But yeah, as the video kind of suggested there at the start, I'm basically going to go through every new release from 2023 that I personally saw and rank them in order of preference, starting with my least favorite and working my way to the favorite. Now, I do like to do something every year called the Lomax Movie Awards, which is where I give awards out to what I think was the best in each kind of category of things. I think I prefer to do that rather than doing a top 10, just because it means you can look at films in a more intricate way. There's certain films that deserve praise for certain aspects that would otherwise go unnoticed if you just did a top 10. Whereas if you want to know what my top 10 is currently as it stands, then you will find that in this video. That will change, I guarantee it, by the time we get to the Lomax Movie Awards, just because between now and then, there's going to be a ton of like movies that come out in America in like December and whatnot that I'm not going to get to see until February, March time, because I live in the UK and our release dates suck.
Yeah. Dude, the Holdovers is coming out next week. It's brutal. That's a Christmas movie.
Yeah. This is what I've had to deal with, man, for the past like 10 years. It's why top 10 videos of like, I used to do top 10 videos on my channel in December, and it was just a futile affair because it was like half the films that would make my top 10 weren't even films from that year.
Yeah.
So and by that point, no one cares. So yeah.
There's no excuse though. I mean, you don't need subtitles. I mean, you can just send it over the internet. Like it's if it's an English speaking country, there's really no excuse if you don't need subtitles.
Yeah. And these days in the digital age that we live in, it would make sense to release a film everywhere at the same time.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah, you capitalize on whatever buzz the internet's creating, because like it dies down. The word of mouth is so like TikTok and YouTube and social media and all that. Like get with the times.
And this past year has proven that you don't need stars to do the press junket stuff in order to push a movie. Movies have done it, have gained huge success without the ability to send actors out and whatnot to do these press junkets and stuff. So all that stuff, save your money. It's all bollocks. It doesn't mean anything. Do a few online interviews, send them out, and release the movies worldwide because it's digital. So yeah, that's neither here nor there, but that's the reason why my whole top 10s and Lomax Movie Awards, and the reason I do it the way that I do it. Thank you to those who are already joining us in the chat: Jack Petrie, Tommy Lee Jones, Sean Sheridan, Willie Screedia. Oh, look at that!
What a jerk! What's he doing here?
Yeah, I know. It's like thank Crystal Guardian. It's a new one on me, I think. Bryan, are you planning on ranking everything in the DCU now that it's over? I probably not, just because I think I've missed the boat on that one. These kind of things are just like, if you don't do it the day the latest film comes out, by the time the next weekend comes, literally no one's interested. So yeah, but yeah. Tommy Lee Jones, thank you very much, mate, for that super chat there. Saw X was definitely my favorite movie of the year, closely followed by Oppenheimer. That's like low rent meets high art. It's just like, could you have such a bigger disparity between your two favorite movies of the year? Like, not dissing it, total respect. That's like me going with Critters and like, I don't know, some artsy film from 1988. So yeah, it's yeah, class. We've all been there.
I mean, if you're considering like expectations,
Mm,
I thoroughly agree with it. I mean,
yeah,
who expected Oppenheimer to flake? It was like the presumed front runner.
yeah. All right. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into it. Nothing too flashy. I'm just and actually now that I've done these overlays, right, but I produced them based on
Bring that
the
out in
assumption.
everybody.
No, I did the overlays based on the assumption that I was doing this video on my own, not that I was being joined by anyone.
That's fine.
So now I'm going to completely cut my own head off, I think.
Oh no.
So let's see how this how this works. But number 48, bottom of the barrel, worst film I saw of 2023.
Oh.
Yeah, Trolls band together. Right, let's see if I can do something with the background there.
That's good.
Shrinks you a bit, but
yeah, no.
You could do with
Your
shrinking.
channel. I don't give a crap.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Oh, cute.
Nicely styled. There we go.
I don't mind being squished. It's fine.
Right. So, yeah, I'm not gonna. It's a bloody Trolls movie. I didn't want to see it to begin with. I saw it for free because it was part of the National Cinema Day thing. Took my kids to see it because we all got in for free. I don't want to say loved it, but they seem to love it. I hated it. Literally 20 minutes in, I was like, oh no. I was just, what have I done? And slowly just started to die inside. So yeah, just terrible in every conceivable way. I'm going to assume you've not seen this one.
I have not. What I'm more shocked about is you've seen 3 more movies than I have in 2023, and your bottom is 1.5 stars.
Well, what's your bottom?
Half a star.
Slightly, yeah. I just, I do think I've probably been a bit generous with that because, yeah,
it's the drugs talking.
I think it is the drugs talking because a 1-star film for me is like that's something I would walk out of. Now, technically, I didn't walk out.
You wanted to,
but I wanted to. It's only by virtue of being there with my kids that I didn't. So yeah, it probably should be a 1-star film tops, but whatever. Number 47, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Just did not care at all. It was like all this CGI color just being puked out onto the screen, and somebody forgot to write a script in which characters do anything that matters, or anything that makes you feel anything. And given that this is the film that really does kind of bring the big bad, supposedly, of this era of Marvel, it's
not anymore.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Yeah, yeah. So Michelle Pfeiffer deserves more. That's all I'll say.
Isn't it unfortunate? This is what, the 3rd standalone Ant-Man movie? 3rd, right?
Yes.
That without Edgar Wright, we don't have Ant-Man, and Edgar Wright has made 0 Ant-Man movies.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Oh man. Just my first video on my channel, my first ever video, on my channel, was discussing when Edgar Wright got taken off Ant-Man. So yeah, I felt so brassed off about that. That's when I was like, right, that's it. Starting my channel.
I've got something to say.
Yeah, and all 2 people turned up to see what I had to say about that. But right, okay. Number 46. We've got 65. This is just After Earth 2, basically.
I fell asleep on Cody's shoulder in the theater watching it.
Oh man, that's so. The 2 of you actually get together, get to meet, and this is what you end up watching.
Our double feature was a bit of a letdown.
Oh man.
Yeah, this was the tail end. Yeah.
Man, can't be as bad as my worst ever double feature.
I don't know.
I was a projectionist at the time, and I had to view both the prints of Sex and the City 2 and Space Chimps 2, all in the same night.
What is Space Chimps, and why is there 2 of them?
Exactly. Yeah, it just 65 is like Adam Driver shouldn't be in a film this bad at this stage in his career. It's this is like bad M. Night Shyamalan movie making.
How do you take dinosaurs and make a boring movie?
I know.
Like, the one thing you could say about the Jurassic Park movies, bad or whatever, at least they have some sort of spunk to them. This was just so laborious, like
mundane, totally mundane.
Just walking. Ooh, she's mute. Oh, God forbid we let her talk.
Number 45, we've got Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham. So for anyone out there who thinks that I am such a Batman fanboy that I can't possibly, criticize anything within the world of Batman, you are wrong. I did not like this film, really. It was just, it had promise, but I've never been into the whole Cthulhu kind of nonsense. I just big giant squid monsters as a main villain don't really do it for me. I want something with a face, something with a personality beyond big squid monster, and this just seemed to be a little bit all over the place. Why does he like it?
Why does he have like a Dracula type cape on there? What is that?
Because it's set in like 1800s kind of time. So but and if you want to see a film set in that kind of period, animated Batman film, then Gotham by Gaslight was How to Do It Right. One of my favorites from those DC animated universe movies. This one, not so much. So, number 44 for me is Paw Patrol, the mighty movie. Now, again, not a good film, as you can see by the 2.5 stars. But when you've got 2 kids and you go to a movie with them that is catered to them, when they enjoy it and you can tell they're enjoying it, there's something about it that rubs off on you that kind of, there's a certain sense of nostalgia that reminds you of what it was like yourself being a kid in the cinema, seeing movies. So it's not a good movie. Would never watch it on my own, but with my kids, I get it. It's not aimed at me. It's aimed at anyone under 10 apparently, because my daughter seems to like it. So, but it's I'm certainly not the target audience. But there you go. This might be a shocker to to anyone.
There was no Friday the 13th this year, so nothing was shocking me.
It still might be a shocker to people who know me, but yeah, number 43 is Scream 6.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the first half of our double feature.
Yeah,
doesn't shock me at all.
Well, then you and me are on an island, because the amount of people who seem to just rave about this entry in the Scream series and say it's easily the best one since the original.
What?
Easily, yeah. That seems to be the general consensus from what I've seen. So many people out on Facebook and on YouTube, best Scream film since the first one. And not even just like by a slight, and it's just like easy. And I'm like, are you smoking crack? Did you watch the same film I watched? Because that was a mess.
Yeah, Cody, when we were together, I was more like, I just wasn't pleased with it from the start. Perhaps it was New York gatekeeping, but I was like, that's not New York. That's not New York. But Cody really, really disliked the third act, which I thought I agree with. But yeah, I didn't think it was as strong from start to finish. But yeah, the third act certainly had some elements that were like, really? Like everything just seemed so contrived. Like, all right, quickly, we have to get everything together now. And it was just like, well, wait a minute. This person's at a train station. They're like, what? Whoa.
Yeah. And the whole like the killer reveal was so Scooby-Doo level. And then the inability of these three people, these three killers, to actually kill anybody, despite stabbing one of them like 57 times, whatever. Like, you literally see two of them going at this guy, just knifing him to bits, and then at the end you see him being rolled out on a stretcher like, oh yeah. I was like, are you taking the piss? Is this a parody? No way. So anyone who thinks that this is the best Scream film since the original, you need to stop taking the drugs right now. Yeah, I loved Scream 5, really loved it. Was hyped up for this, especially when I saw the trailer with it taking place in New York. Big disappointment when I watched it.
New York's 0 for 2 with the slashers.
Yeah, so big Scream fan. It's like my second favorite straight up slasher series. Was very disappointing.
Well, I mean, their worst movie is still far better than any of the big three. Any of the big three's worst, should I say?
Yeah,
by a long shot.
Yeah. Right. I'm just checking on the comments because I know some people will probably have something to say about that. Oh yes. Tom Lee Jones, Scream 6 is my least favorite. Good on you, my friend. Good on you. Yeah. Scream 6 seemed unnecessarily. It most certainly did. Rushed, I would say. It seemed rushed.
They were rushing to 7 before they got rid of some of their cast.
It felt like some thought had gone into Scream 5. It felt like some effort had gone into.
Well, it took time. It was a decade between movies.
Yeah, and then it's like a year between this one and the next one, and you can tell it's just like, guys, at least take an extra year just to really nail that script. But
plus, the thing is, like, people aren't rushing back to the theaters. Like, what are you rushing this movie out for? For the half an audience that you're going to get regardless? Why rush? Let people slowly come back to. I don't like, from a business end. It's like, why are you rushing?
Yeah. Jack Peachtree, I think the final reveal and third act is a bit off, but most of the film is pretty good. I thought. Love you, Jack, but no. What is it? I could say that about a few of the Scream movies, though. Yeah, I like all the Scream movies. I really do. Even the third one, but this one just.
Which one do you have higher, 3 or 6?
Oh, 3. Yeah, six is the lowest for me out of the Scream franchise, easily. Sean Sheridan, plot armor is turd. Mindy is one of the most annoying characters, and the killers are, yep. 2.5 is the right score. Thank you. Yes, it is. And Tommy Lee Jones again. I watched Scream 6 3 times in the cinema. By the time I got to the third viewing, I hated nearly everything about it, apart from 1 or 2 decent kills. It was just meh.
Well, they got your money.
Yeah. You guaranteed Scream 7. So you and about 20,000 other people who all went to see it like 3 times. Oh, hang on, what have I done there with my left-handed tomfoolery? There we go. Right. Okay. Bear with me, people. Right arm's completely out of action. Right. Number 42 is probably a lot of you have never even heard of this one, but it's The Unheard. Yeah, I think it was a Shudder original. I literally like got a Shudder subscription
trial
for about 3 weeks or whatever it was, and watched this. I thought it was all right. Nothing earth shattering. Something that hits a few beats, misses a few others. It's fairly forgettable, but not in an offensive way. You've probably
3
not heard
stars.
Of it. 3 stars. It was good. Did what I needed to do, which was pass an hour and a half. Didn't overstay its welcome. The central performance.
41 movies to go, man. You're getting pretty liberal with the stars.
For me, most movies hit the 3-star mark. For me,
I'm probably generous with 2.5. The middle.
Yeah, 3 for me just means good, solid.
That's fair.
Yeah. So, right, number 41. It's another one of the DC animated movies, straight to DVD things. Justice League Warworld. It's one of those movies where it's like 3 separate stories, but then they kind of join together to sort of make one coherent story. I never like those kind of movies because you just start to get invested in one of the segments, and then the whole thing shifts and it becomes something else. And I'm just like, yeah, it's just.
What's the black and white? Is it Casablanca? Black and white up there in the middle?
Yeah. So there's a one of the segments in it is like it's a bit like the old kind of noir detective mystery type things with Clark Kent as a reporter. Yeah. So yeah, it was good. But I found the segments entertaining as 3 short films, to varying degrees. But it never felt to me like never felt to me like the 3 stories were cohesive enough to make it feel like a solid kind of a movie in its own right. It just felt like 3 glorified shorts kind of stuck together and some way linked. But it was entertaining. I really liked the first segment, which was kind of like a Western. Really enjoyed that. And the other 2 were like, yeah, all right, fine. But yeah, that's it. At number 40, you've not seen, other than Scream 6, have you seen any of these so
65.
Far? Oh, 65, yes. That was your double bill, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'll chime in when I've seen it.
All right. So at number 40 is Genie. No.
So why are you watching all these streaming services? It sounds like Shudder, and now you got Hallmark.
Because we don't get flipping films released over here, man, with a stupid release dates.
Right.
So primarily because I've been out of action this past month or so, I've been highly medicated, which could also explain some of these scores, to be perfectly honest.
He's feeling no pain. Yeah, sure. 3 stars. Sounds good.
Yeah, I've been on diazepam and tramadol, and I've been a lot of pain. So yeah, this Christmas Day, I'd spent most of Christmas asleep, but we got to late afternoon, and my family all just kind of went off in their own spaces. Just to, like, my wife went to sleep, my son went to sleep, my daughter was just like quietly in her room, and I wanted a Christmas movie, but not just one that was totally breezy. You know, one that's just like fluff, pure and utter fluff that I know is not. Yeah, like that poster says it all. It's written by Richard Curtis.
Why do you know the writer?
No, Richard Curtis.
Yeah, I don't care.
So he wrote, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Love Actually, all them things. So he's a famous writer, he did all Blackadder and all that. So he wrote it. So I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. The trailer looks a bit naff, but it kind of looks like the kind of naff that I want at this particular moment in time. I watched it. I enjoyed it. And I appreciate the fact that it's a Christmas movie that actually mentions the reason for the season, which is there's actually a segment in it where this genie woman asks him what's this Christmas thing all about then, and he actually tells her it's about Jesus and stuff. So yeah, to see that in a kind of modern day, like more Hollywood type produced movie about Christmas was quite refreshing, and I enjoyed the movie. Is it on my best of all time list? Hell no, but I enjoyed it. I feel like I'm going to start apologizing too much now, so I'll just move on. But
yeah, would you like me to list a bunch of John Hughes writing credits?
John Hughes writing credits.
Towards the end, it got really dark. Oh, he's credited for the 4th Home Alone.
Oh man! Oh, good grief! Yeah, that's
what I mean by I don't care.
Yeah. Now, the next one, number 39. I'll probably get a lot of flack for this one, but Heart of Stone. I'm a sucker for Gal Gadot. See me. It's a generic as they come action flick on Netflix. But sometimes that's all I need. I just need to know that stuff is going to blow up. People are going to get hit. People are going to get shot. There's good guys. There's bad guys. There's a plot.
Thank God.
It's like sometimes that's all I need. But the primary selling point for me, obviously, being Gal Gadot, because it's Gal Gadot.
Eye candy's eye candy.
Yeah, it's where it's at. Oh man, yeah. Right, number 38 for me is another DC animated movie. They release like 3 or 4 of these things every year. And I think, is this the last one of these on this list now? I think it might be. I could be wrong. Legion of Superheroes. Yeah. Supergirl goes to the future, finds a bunch of superheroes of that day who all kind of worship her and her brother, not brother, cousin. And yeah, decides to fit in with them, stay with them, and fight crime. And it's a superhero movie. It does basically what superhero movies do, but in animated form. It's good. It's solid. It's nothing special, but I would watch it again.
You got a super chat, Brian?
A super chat, did I? Thanks for that. Let me have a look. Colin Dunn, thank you for that, mate. Catching these two live is a gift. Thank you both for all your content. Love both you guys. Thanks, bud. Quite a few people who would use a different word inside gift. Consolation prize. It's like, oh, it's half of the autopsy crew, but like
the worst
the
half.
bad half,
the
crap
unpopular
half.
half.
It's like the budget half. Yeah. Number 37 for me is Fast X.
Ooh.
It's that franchise that will not die.
Oh, wow.
It's dumb. It's ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It defies the laws of physics. It has a really great villain in Jason Momoa. And every time he's on screen, it's highly entertaining. The action set pieces, again, like I say, ridiculous, but highly entertaining. That's it, really. It's Vin Diesel takes himself way too seriously. He takes this franchise way too seriously. If he mentions family one more time, I just want someone to blow his brains out. But other than that, like I say, there's some pretty good action set pieces that get the adrenaline pumping. And
I think it's funny that you've seen more than I have, and I have Fast X at 38 on my list. Yeah, I have similar pros and cons, but the one gripe I'd add is the tone between Vin Diesel. Like somebody didn't tell Vin Diesel that his villain's having way too much fun, and he's just like not selling anything. And it's like, dude, you know, Aquaman here, he's having a gay old time. Like, you know, can you be at all show some sort of emotion? And plus, if they blew up the Vatican in any other movie, it'd be the third act. Like, it's not even the first act where it's like, what? You blew up a nuke in the Vatican. Why is that the first act? What the hell is going on here? But I don't know. Set pieces, just what?
Yeah, the villains in these movies seem to kind of redeem them in some way.
Yeah.
Like Charlize Theron made a really great villain when she was on. When Jason Statham first came into it and he was just a villain before they decided that we're going to forgive everyone and bring them into the family, even though they've killed our friends in the past and tried to kill us. It's like, yeah, when Jason Statham was the villain, he was a really great villain in part 7, was it? So yeah, at this stage, the franchise kind of is living or dying based on the villain.
Well, plus there's no stakes. I mean, Paul Walker is still alive in this franchise, and the guy's been dead for half a decade now. Like, can somebody be dead in this franchise? Like, just let him be dead. Not even just Paul Walker. Like, there's so many other characters where it's like, just stop bringing them back. There's no stakes.
It's so true, though. So true. Like the guys in these movies seem to possess more superheroic powers than what most of the MCU do at times.
Nobody dies in this franchise. Even actually dead people.
Yeah. Man alive. Still quite fun though. But yeah, number 36. Number 36 for me was Cocaine Bear. It was I enjoyed this, actually. I enjoyed this film a lot more than I was expecting to. Previous directorial efforts from Elizabeth Banks have been a bit and then when people have called them out for the crap they are, she's kind of been like, it's because you down on women and all. And
Charlie's Angels was terrible.
Oh, bloody terrible. It made McGee's Charlie's Angels look like The Godfather.
Oh.
It's like no film should make McGee's because Charlie's Angels look like The Godfather. So yeah. So the poster I thought was really great. The idea sounded pretty insane, and if played right, could be really great. I think it misses the mark on some things. I think some of the humor goes a bit too broad. I think they should have leaned in more to the horror aspect of it, the thriller aspect of it. But as it stands, it was an entertaining ride with some enjoyable characters, and it was good to see Ray Liotta one more time. Obviously, with him passing away last year, but yeah, that's about it, really.
It's funny. This was 39 for me. We both had Fast X kissing Cocaine Bear, but we went in opposite directions.
Yeah.
If you title this something else and then just add a different tone to it, it can be a completely different movie. If you call it like Snowy Woods or I don't know, some sort of play on the cocaine word. But like you read that title and you're like, oh, okay, I'm getting Sharknado. And it is too humorous, and that's coming from me. So I don't know. Maybe if I like got myself psyched up to watch this, I might have been into it a little bit more. But I just, a bear on cocaine. That sounds horrifying. I'd like to see the split of this movie where like it's just totally played straight. Like all you have to do is just tweak some minor things about the tone, and
I think if it had been played completely straight, I think it could have been elevated to a 4-star movie easily. Amp up the horror, amp up the thriller aspect. I think, but instead they kind of just they just went for kind of low rent laughs, really.
And that's you brought it up with Elizabeth Banks. Like, can you make anything other than 40-year-old virgin all over again? Like, can you spread your wings a little? Like, come on.
I just checking on the comments. Nice. Okay. Okay, number 35 for me is...
Oh, you missed Lucas.
Lucas.
The $2 super chat, 11:42.
Oh, where is that? Let me have a look. Lucas Griffin. Thank you, pal. There is no bad half of Autop Stream. Love all 4. Thanks,
Aren't we
mate.
5 now?
Yeah, we're 5 now. We've
officially
gained a new one. Yeah, officially.
No female, but Rudy.
Yeah, it's like, well, Rudy counts.
Name sounds feminine, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, he was sending us pictures the other day of his makeup and stuff. So it's like, asking if it was appropriate for him to go on with like pink eye and stuff. So, it's just, dude, let's get your ass on there and man up.
He's just kissing Sean and Cody's ass. That's what he's doing. What would you guys do?
I'd grow a pair and get my ass on the stream, man.
Cody's like, look what happened when a dog bit my face. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. It was probably meant to be a private conversation, but
whoops.
Yeah, oops.
I slipped again.
That's what happens. Yeah. So number 35 for me was Blue Beetle. Big fan of the DCEU. There's a lot of movies in there that for me I just absolutely love, and I've never understood the hate for, like, there's certain movies in it. Like for me, Birds of Prey. So many people hate that movie. So many people say it's just average at best, and I loved it. I absolutely loved Birds of Prey. The ride on it just takes me on a wild ride. Zack Snyder's trilogy. Absolutely fantastic for my money. And there's plenty of others in that run that I just really love. Blue Beetle for me is probably my least favorite of, although Shazam. Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is probably my least favorite film out of the whole DCEU now that it's wrapped up. Just because it was so generic, like the story, a guy gets a suit developed by a high-tech company the company want the suit so they can make their own, and it's Ant-Man, it's Iron Man, it's how many other, like, it felt like all the superhero movies we've seen over the last 20 years. Yeah, like, it looks nice, the performances in it were good, I liked the relationship between the family members, but I didn't care about any of the superheroics because I felt like I've seen it so many times, that it just didn't do anything for me.
It's funny that 2023, like, it seemed like all at once, just the movie-going public said, "We're done. We're done with the superhero stuff. Stop."
Yeah. Yeah, it did. But, like, every year, YouTubers ask the question, "Do you think we'll ever get superhero movie fatigue?"
I've had it.
And
I've had it.
I think we have. I think there's your answer. I think people do, unless you're gonna come out with something like The Batman or Joker that does something different, that does something a bit darker, a bit edgier, goes to places that other superhero movies are too afraid to go to. Like, people can throw all the shade at Joker for, it's a Scorsese ripoff and that, but it's still doing something through that prism, through that lens, within the comic book world that no other comic book movie is doing. And it's because of that it found success. So, yeah, it's those kind of comic book movies at this point that are really going to thrive. But all this stuff, let's get a flashy suit, let's get a one-note supervillain that they're going to go up and have a final boss fight with. We're past it.
It's cynical. It's a cynical approach to it. It's like, yeah, we'll just, put $50 million into something and we'll laugh all the way to the bank. No, you can't do that anymore.
No. With Netflix and the 200 other different streaming services now, you can't afford to do that. If you're going to put something in a cinema, it's got to be an event people want to go to. It's got to be something they feel they're not going to get at home on Netflix or Disney Plus or Amazon Prime or Apple TV or, it's
Peacock.
Yeah. Freebie.
Well, I mean, like, somebody brought it up a little bit earlier in the chat. Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame, I was reluctantly, like, I was starting to get fatigued then, but oh my God, the experience in the theater, like, it was an event. Like, it for all the records it set financially, you really had to be in a cinema to see those movies, and to have the stakes. Like, it was something that my personal gripe with superhero stuff was, like, you knew they weren't going to die, but at least, granted, that by the time Endgame came out, they kind of washed their hands a little bit. But to have the ending of Infinity War end the way it did, it was like, ooh, and that, like, that shared experience of the entire audience going quiet. It was like, oh, ooh, this one strikes. This is actually quite entertaining. Like, and then, like you said, this stuff like the Batman, Joker, all these interesting entries that, like, kind of approached it from a different angle and said, hey, we don't have to have bright colors and, but yeah, they're running on empty at this point.
Yeah. And that's why Deadpool succeeded as well. It's like, it's, again, you got to take it and put something different on it. If you're just going to throw some
genre, if
you're going to throw something out like this, that is, it's a well-made film. But if you'd have released it back in 2005, this would have been in my top 10 of the year. But we've seen this about 20 times. It's like, do something else.
That's how I feel about Liam Neeson movies. Just like, I get it. This is probably cool if there were no other movies just like it, but
I bet every time a new script comes across his desk, he's like, oh, I killed myself with this crap.
Oscar Schindler, for Pete's sake.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. So, I can see you all in the comments, leaving comments, and I would love to put more up, guys. So thank you for that interaction there. I am reading them as you go, or as we go. But I don't want to go through every single one because we'll be here for like 3 hours, and I really don't want to be here for 3 hours. So yeah, but I do appreciate the interaction. Thanks, guys. So number 34 for me is The Boogeyman. So yeah, I saw the trailer for this. I can't remember if it was this Prime or Now TV. This is what I'm talking about. There's that many streaming services now. You never even know what you've saw which film on what. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But The Boogeyman, it's. I've seen so many films called The Boogeyman that I just never quite seem to get there. And this film was really well directed. The cinematography in it was really quite effective, quite beautiful. There was some genuine moments of, ooh, that's chilling, actually. That the way they've framed it, the way they've set it up, that's the stakes that are involved. Really good job. It's let down by a script that's like, if you could have just worked on that a bit more, or if you could have just fleshed that out a bit more, or made that tenuous link there between those two things a bit stronger. If you could have done away with that tacked on ending that every horror movie has to have these days to let you know that, there might be a sequel if this one's successful. Yeah, we know. You don't need to tell us that. You make a decent film and we see it and enough people go and watch it, you're going to make a sequel anyway and people will watch it. They wouldn't have needed the little stinger at the end to know that there'll be a sequel on the way. So, yeah, it just drops the ball in those kind of areas one too many times to allow it to be anything other than a 3-star movie. But it is a solid, well-made 3-star movie. And if you've not seen it and you're into your horror, check it out. Some people are a bit more forgiving of horror movies than I am. So if I'm giving this a 3-star rating and, I'm giving Scream 6, 2.5, which everyone seems to think is the best thing since the first, then yeah, check this out. You might love it.
Bryan, your wiener's poking out at the bottom there.
This is my dog. Hello. This is my beautiful Cara Pickle.
Oh, it's a girl.
Camera. Yeah. There she is.
Oh.
Yeah. My third child. The only one that doesn't answer back. The one I love most. No, not true. Not true, obviously. Okay, at number 33 for me is Bank of Dave.
What?
So this was recommended to me by a friend.
Was it Dave?
Actually, his name was Dave. Oh, gotta watch that collarbone there. Oh, yeah, the friend that recommended it to me is actually called Dave, and I did review this on my channel, and I did highly enjoy it. It's based on a true story, and it's set literally 10 minutes from where I live, or 20 minutes from where I live. So that's kind of why I think it gelled with me a lot more than it might other people. So it's set in Burnley, which is like the next town over from me. So I go to Burnley quite a lot. That some of the places they shot in the movie I recognize. I'm like, I've been there. I've walked there loads of times. And it's based on a true story about a guy in Burnley who opened the first bank in something like 100 years. Yeah, it's like literally basically all the big banks have a monopoly on banking. And so the hoops this guy had to jump through in order to open a new bank, because what he was doing was helping the community. Basically, he wasn't in it for the profit. It was there as literally as I am genuinely trying to help the community. And the bankers, the proper bankers, didn't like that at all. So they wanted to try and stop him, because obviously it would set a precedent. But yeah, he won out. And in Burnley, there is a little bank. It's actually called Burnley Saving and Loan or something like that. And yeah, so they made a film about it. It's generic. It feels like that kind of, it's based on a true story. We've got to have the romance in there that probably wasn't in the real life story, but we're going to have it in there because we're making a film and we need that romance angle. But other than that, decent performances, characters I really enjoyed, and just, seeing a film set in Burnley, of all places, where people talk like that. Burnley. It's like, it's just not something I'm used to seeing on cinema. So, like, you're from New York. You've seen New York on the big screen. Like, how many times?
A lot.
Right. Can you name, other than this film I'm talking about right now, can you name me one film that's been set in Burnley? No. Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Billingtonshire?
Yeah. So
on Trent.
so, living so close, I feel like I probably do get something out of this that, a lot of people won't. But yeah. So if you're from Lancashire, from my neck of the woods, give it a watch. I think you'll love it. I think you'll appreciate some of the gags in it. The Burnley twang, the way they speak, it's just weird seeing it on screen in a movie, an actual movie. So,
see, if I watch something from the area that I'm in right now, I can watch Robin Hood with Kevin Costner, and I sound just like that. So,
oh, bloody yanked. Oh, man.
Right. Yeah, he is local. That's so weird.
So number 32 for me is Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Again, it does definitely suffer from that generic touch. The superhero movie is dying kind of thing. Yeah, we like, but I did enjoy it. I liked the villains in it. I liked Zachary Levi in it. It's not as good as the first one, but it was a decent enough sequel. I got more enjoyment out of this than I did from Blue Beetle. It felt generic, but it didn't feel as generic, because like, I know Thor has done the whole Norse gods and stuff, and in this we get like the Greek gods and that, and I just felt like, there's some stuff in here that some carryover to other comic book movies, but maybe not as much as we've seen with like Blue Beetle, where literally the story just seems you can literally write it as it's playing out. But it should have been better, but it was what it was. I enjoyed it, and I will watch it again. So yeah, don't know if you watched this one.
Nope.
No. There you go. Okay. Number 31 for me is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I was quite surprised, actually, by this.
Positively or negatively?
Positively. I thought I was going to hate it. I really didn't like Crystal Skull. I thought that took a deep nosedive into a toilet. And given where Disney is at the moment and certain agendas that it seems to push constantly, and just seeing certain things in the trailers, I was expecting this to go a particular way. And then when the reviews started coming out, I was like, oh, man, yeah, they're just crapping on the franchise, aren't they? Really? But I went to I watched this when it came out on Disney Plus, and I was entertained by it. I enjoyed the characters. I thought Mads Mikkelsen always makes a great villain, but yeah, I thought he was a really good villain, and yeah, it was just fun. It was just a fun movie. It was overlong, I think. I think if they could have got it down to 2 hours instead of 2:20 or whatever it was, I think the pacing would have been a bit better, and it'd probably go up to a 4-star movie. But I really enjoyed it. I think I would prefer to watch this again. Definitely over Crystal Skull, but over Temple of Doom as well.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm not as I loved Temple of Doom as a kid. When I saw it as an adult, I was like, oh, this does not hold up well at all. Yeah. Like,
but Critters is good.
Critters is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like an Indiana Jones movie without Nazis is like bread without yeast. It's just I feel like Indy needs Nazis. Just for whatever reason, that aesthetic, that visual aesthetic, it just
they're pretty good villains. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't need to explain a Nazi. You don't need to know their fundamental motivation for why they went bad. It's like, oh, they're a Nazi? Great. Right, I know where we're at with this guy. Now let's get on with the movie. You know what I mean? It's like villains.
Yeah.
So number 30 for me, another big surprise for me. Probably the biggest surprise of the year, even though it's still what a lot of people would probably say is considerably low, is Saw X.
Whoa.
Yeah, now you gotta look at that coming from where I sit on this kind of movie, because I ain't for anyone who's seen our recent 31 and 31, I ain't like, this kind of movie doesn't usually do it for me. Like all of the Saw movies, most of the Saw movies bleed into one for me.
No pun intended.
Like, yeah. Those first 3, I'm like, okay, I kind of sort of vaguely remember what's going on in those first 3. Everything after that, except with the exception of Spiral and Jigsaw, that whole middle section,
4 through 6, the villains are atrocious.
If you tell me something, if you name a trap, if you tell me a plot point that happens, I could not tell you which one of those 3 movies it comes from. No chance could I tell you, because they're just these are not my bag. I'm not into the whole torture porn thing. The first few at least attempted a story, and then it just descended into this. No, it's about the traps. That's all it's about. And I was just like, oh man, seriously, they're doing a 10th, and these bastards that I work with are making us doing it on 31 and 31. So yeah, I went to see this.
Comparison to Hellraiser, this is the Godfather trilogy.
Man. No, it was a considerable surprise in the fact that it actually had a genuine story, a through line, a character arc. It made one of the most despicable, irredeemable villains in horror movies actually somewhat relatable and redemptive, dare I say.
Yeah. I talked about this with Cody on my on our tops and bottoms. John Kramer, like the fact that he literally goes through something with somebody in the movie, you're like, oh wow, that's something, a new ripple into this character. That's really unique, and you have some sort of respect for the character that he's willing to put himself up and suffer. for another character's well-being?
Yeah.
Oh, Sean said you missed a super chat.
Oh, did I?
Apologies, Sean.
Just a second. Oh, yeah. Sean, thank you.
Happy October. Don't think we don't notice that you're doing all these Hammer horror vampire movies. Sneaky jerk. I was like, oh,
the day will come.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That's out of left field.
The day will come. There's nothing left field about it. The day will come. Even if you guys are all doing your own thing and I'm just doing a completely separate 31 and 31. It's like, well, you screwheads are watching their guys 31 and 31.
Could be like the broccoli 007s.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry for 2024, dudes. Terrifier 3 is coming. Oh,
yeah, it is.
Man. Sean. Just
there's only 3 of them.
Pains me.
There's that.
Flipping one's enough.
No, the second one's better than the first one.
There's no reason that film should be 2.5 hours.
I don't disagree, but
why is a Terrifying movie? Could someone please explain? Why is a Terrifying movie 2.5 hours? Someone please explain that to me.
We're giving a really big spoiler for 10 months from now.
Oh, man alive. There's no way that should be 2.5 hours. I've not seen it, but there's no way that should be 2.5 hours. A Nolan film, that should be 2.5 hours. Friggin' Terrifier sequel. Are you taking the mick? 2.5 hours. Piss off.
When we hook up, be sure to take my disc. You can borrow it.
Borrow it and burn it.
Please
don't expect to get that back in one piece. Number 29. Again, another surprise for me. The Pope's Exorcist. I saw the trailer for this and I was like, oh, please stop with the exorcism movies. I got not another exorcism movie. And Russell Crowe, like, come on, man. Like you were a fully fledged, like full-on movie star at one point, and I felt like he's kind of started to go. Yeah, the trailer for this, that was the vibe I got, and I was just like, man. I watched the movie, and I enjoyed it. I really liked the character he was playing. I thought he did a good job with the accent as well, and he's had a bit of a ropey track record with accents because when he did Robin Hood, an otherwise fairly decent film, every time he opened his mouth and tried to do that British accent, it was like, oh, dear Lord. But yeah, no, his accent here worked for me. It never took me out of the film. Whether that's the same for anyone who comes from,
yeah, I haven't seen it yet. So Robin Hood.
Yeah. But as far as exorcism movies go, in the last 20 years, it's one of the better ones. It was decent.
So it's top 100 is what you're saying?
It's just, I'm so sick of exorcism movies. I think for me, the gold standard of the last 20 years with regards to exorcism movies is The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And yeah, this is definitely one of the better ones. So yeah, props to them. Good job. Number 28 is Super Mario Brothers movie. It's very generic. You know exactly where it's going. But just last year, my kids actually got into the Mario games. Yeah, they got into the Mario games. My son in particular is just like, he's 4 years old and he's like just nailing me on Mario. He's doing things on Mario where I'm like, what? What did you just press then? How did you do that? It's embarrassing, man. It's embarrassing. But playing them with him and then my daughter and then going to see this movie, like, I think that allowed me to enjoy it a lot more than I would have done had I not played all the games so recently. Because like the movie is so full of references.
Oh, yeah, there's decades of like fan service in this movie.
Yeah, and most of it would have just gone over my head had I not like just been playing all those games. So I appreciated it on that fan level. Like, you know, I could understand why diehard fans of the game would watch this and think, no, yeah, I enjoyed that. Did what I wanted it to do. So
plus you got to remember that the only taste of cinema the fans of this game have in their mouth is that Bob Hoskins music.
Oh man, moving on. Number 27 for me is Gran Turismo. This was a little bit of a surprise as well, because again, like, trailers can go either way. It's like the trailer. I mean, you know where it's going. It's a true story. You know, it's about a guy who just played Gran Turismo religiously, was number one on this tournament thing, and they decided to put him in a real racing car, and he went on to become a racing car champion. And like, even without knowing the actual true story, it's probably not going to be much of a stretch to guess where the film's going to head. But what really makes it fly is, one, the performances really suck me in, and those car racing scenes are absolutely fantastic. So it's directed by Neil Blomkamp. And he does a really good job with those racing sequences. You feel like you're in the cockpit. You feel the adrenaline of what it's like to be in a race. So yeah, again, another film that was much better than the trailer would suggest. Number 26 for me is Merry Little Batman. Yes, straight to Amazon. So made for Amazon Prime. Not a huge fan of the animation style with the exaggerated features. Really tiny legs
chin?
And massive extended chin. It's like it's comedic. The whole tone of the film is more comedic. It's about Batman and his son Damian, and Damian wanting to be like his old man, chip off the old block and getting into trouble as he tries to be little Batman while his dad's away. And watched it over Christmas with my son, and he absolutely loved it. And we've seen it another 2 times since, because every time he sees it on the icon thing, he's like, oh yeah, put that on again. So we've ended up watching it 3 times over Christmas. Is it the best Batman film ever made? No, hell no. It's not even close to being the best animated Batman film ever made. But it was really enjoyable. The gags work. Perhaps a little bit too long, and I'm not overly keen on the animation style, but the style does work for the tone of the film. So it's like, yeah, all right, I'll go along with it. But there you go. Number 25 for me is May December. There's a film that's very well directed, very well acted, very well written. But the reason it doesn't quite get a 4-star rating for me, it's like a 3.5, is because I know I'm never going to watch it again. It's like, it's engaging. It explores some delicate issues with quite a lot of sensitivity, I think, and is engaging. But it's just like, yeah, that's a drama. It's the kind of drama that I've seen it. I really appreciate it. I think it'll probably pick up some awards. It deserves to do so. But I'm probably not going to watch it again. And that's what one of the big things for me when I'm rating a movie is what's the rewatch value of this? Like, you can have a movie that's expertly made, but the rewatch value is pretty low. And that's where sometimes for me these movies that are quite highly acclaimed don't quite get. Like, I can recognize what people see in it, but I just know I'm not going to watch it again. So,
how did you see this movie?
So this was is it on Netflix?
See, I was told it's on Netflix, but I don't know if it's available on Netflix here because I checked for it and it's not on Netflix here.
Well, then it might be Prime, or is it Now TV? So they're the three that I use. And Disney Plus, but I don't think it's
There's no way.
No way it's on Disney Plus. So it could be Amazon Prime. I don't know, but I know I've seen it.
I know, Jacob. Yeah, it is on Netflix in the States, but I tried watching it a couple of nights ago, and I was like, all right, that's interesting.
Wow.
Gotta get a VPN.
Right. Express VPN.
Yeah, I missed my uncle.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, I definitely watched it legally. So it is.
Why wouldn't you? What are you talking about?
I know, right? So it's absolutely on one of those streaming services. But yeah. So number 24 for me is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Thankfully, the appearance of one Amber Heard was mercifully short. Beyond that, I had a blast with it. It's like the better version of Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World, but fun.
Interesting.
Aquaman teams up with his brother that he was once fighting against. They get into shenanigans. There's a bit of brotherly rivalry there, but they kind of grow to work together towards a common goal. And I enjoyed the action sequences. Like I know I've been down on James Wan as a director. I do think he's a bit overrated, but I do think he knows how to shoot an action sequence. He knows how to make an action sequence pop. He knows how to make it quite invigorating. And yeah, this, it's a 3.5-star movie. It's not like, again, it's not top tier comic book movie material, but I know I will watch it again. It's got rewatch value for me at any rate. I enjoyed it. So yeah, it's not quite as good as the first one, but like, I mean, I know the first one ain't no classic by any stretch, but for me, I don't understand the hate. I know there's a lot of people like really hated on this. So, it's not as good as the first one.
2023.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't understand anyone coming to this who liked the first one not liking this. Like, if you liked the first one and you come to this, I don't understand why you wouldn't like this.
Right, but how many people are going into this movie with no baggage whatsoever? How many people are just going here thinking, right, here's a sequel to that first movie I enjoyed? How many people are watching this movie thinking, all right, this is the end of DCEU. This is the one where Amber Heard is going to be cut from. This is the tail end of a movie year where it probably was the worst year for superhero movies. And you just bring all of that baggage and you're like, see, I was expecting to hate this and I hated it.
Right.
Sometimes you bring the right mood into a movie, you're going to fulfill your own destiny.
I mean, I don't tend to bring that baggage with me because I'd come to a place of acceptance by that point that this is the last one. And as far as I was concerned, it was just like, as long as it's a good, entertaining movie that doesn't end on a cliffhanger that's never going to be, never going to be dealt with,
realized,
then I'm fine. And that's exactly what it did. So I'm fine. It did the job for me, to be perfectly honest. I think you can look at The Flash, say The Flash takes place after this, and then you've kind of got an ending to the DCEU there. The Flash cocked it all up, and now things have been irrevocably changed, and that's how the DCEU essentially ended. And I'm fine with that. It's like, okay, wouldn't have been my way to go, but that's the way it ended. Let's get over it. Let's move on. Boom. Let's have a couple of year break from comic book movies. So, but yeah, the only baggage I brought to this was Amber Heard. This film was going to live and die based on how much she was in it, and thankfully, she wasn't in it a right lot. So I was.
But you're all right with the Flash with Ezra?
Yeah. Yeah. Because Ezra's still got a lot of redemption to get, but he is trying to deal with certain things that are going on in his life, whether it's going to rehab. He's in a very messed up place. He's in a very mixed up place. Clearly an addict, clearly off the rails in that regard. I look at his situation and I see a human being who is struggling with what seems to be, with an insurmountable number with the human condition, basically. And it could happen to any one of us if we were in that position of being that famous, that rich, that noticeable. So
none of those things, and I have two therapists.
Yeah. So I don't look at what he's done and excuse it, but I look at it and I think, okay, definite work in progress, and definite chance for improvement there. Where Amber Heard falls down with me is that at no point has she ever just come clean and said, "I'm sorry, I was wrong." There's not even a hint of that within her as a person, as a human being. And it's like she's clear-headed, she's very calculated. She's not in this, I'm stuck in the world of addiction and this, that. No, she's very cold, very calculated, very career driven, and she was prepared to destroy a man for this, for the sake of that. And
she kind of hijacked a movement that was already kind of fragile to begin with, and she did so much harm for that Me Too movement. And
so it's, for me, like redemption isn't possible if you're not asking for forgiveness. It's like you've got to at least be in a place of accepting brokenness before you can even. But she's not even there. She just wants to move on with her career and pretend like nothing happened without ever admitting she's done anything wrong. And it's just like, no, sorry. So that's, we went on a bit long with regards to that, but that's why there is the distinction between the two, I think. Let me just check the old comments.
You're talking about Hollywood, Jacob. I mean, there's plenty of them around.
Mm-hmm. What's this? Heard and Depp both strike me as scumbags. I have no dog in that fight. I think Depp's got his issues, mainly addictions. But again, tarnishing someone as abusive.
I mean, if you were surprised by Depp's behavior, like welcome to Earth. But he didn't beat his wife.
Yeah.
If anything, he threw bottles at a counter. A little loud, little out of control. Yes.
I'm sorry, but I've done worse than that.
To me,
I've lost it before, and I've literally punched the crap out of furniture. So we've all done that, but better that a piece of furniture or a bottle takes it than a person. And she was willing to go out and just say, no, I'm going to destroy this man and boost my career and make myself look. So yeah, whatever.
But yeah, Hollywood tends to rot the brain a little bit the more popular you get.
Yeah, big time. Prodrix. Hi, Brian. I'm new here as a viewer, but love your content. Thank you. Always nice to hear because the usual is, hey, Brian, go and suck an egg and die. So, it's nice to get the, I like what you're doing. Yeah, feels good. Feels good. Yeah, Christine, I kind of the same with that. Kind of missed the days when we didn't see or hear details about the so-called Hollywood stars. Yeah, if you go back to the studio system, it was all so controlled and so they were a commodity, and the studio treated them as such. It's like we're not going to allow the commodity to be tarnished by allowing their personal lives to be all over the shop.
Yeah, I mean, well, Marvel was looking for any excuse to get rid of majors. I mean, considering what they've allowed over the last 15 years or so, the fact that what he was charged for and what they've done, I mean, they've had actors that have been guilty of DUIs and stuff where, manslaughter has been on the table. Marvel was just looking for a reason to, see, we got to start from scratch.
Yeah.
I think if we didn't know so much, these studios wouldn't have these back doors where it's like, oh, see, there's too much news.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the plus side, we are moving into an era where people are being held more accountable.
Yeah.
And I do think we're in that moment where the pendulum's shifted just a little bit too far, where like people getting crucified for the minor indiscretions. But hopefully it will settle in a place where no, people have to own their stuff, own their crap, apologize for it, and then we can move on. I think people need to learn to forgive, and that's the problem we have at the minute. We jump on what people have done wrong, and it doesn't even matter if they said sorry. It's like, no, that's it. You're done. You're out. And yet Amber Heard gets to keep a career. You know what I mean? It's like, what is that? So yeah, people need to own the stuff, and people also need to learn to forgive. But for me, it's hard.
Well, if they're remorseful, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's hard to forgive if you don't show any sign of remorse. So, okay. Where was that? I've just done number 24. So number 23 for me is Haunting in Venice. I actually really enjoy these movies. Now, the first one.
Speaking of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, speaking of Johnny Depp, the first film was a real enjoyable detective mystery. It worked for me, I think, because I'd never seen any adaptation of that particular. I was never into any kind of Poirot adaptations right before. It just didn't really seem to float my boat. But I went to see Orient Express just because of the stacked cast in it. I thought, all right, that cast's impressive. Let's see that. I'm a sucker for Michelle Pfeiffer, as I've already said, and I really enjoyed that movie. And second one comes along, and I'm a sucker for Gal Gadot, as I said, and I really enjoyed that movie. And this one came along, and well, there ain't anyone in here that I'm that much of a sucker for, to be honest. But it was a pretty good movie. It was, it had a lot of atmosphere. It went a slightly different angle than the previous two, kind of leaning into almost horror territory. And I liked that. I think Bran has done some good work with these movies, and I as a bit more of a low key kind of franchise that I want to see keep coming back. This does all right. This does all right. I enjoy these movies. I like them when they pop up, and hopefully Branagh will keep on churning these out. So yeah, I don't know if you've seen any of these or are interested in any of
I
these.
saw the first one.
Mm.
Daisy Ridley didn't hurt for
Yeah,
my
well, that's
interest.
true. That's true.
But yeah, it's funny how many movies we haven't crisscrossed. There's a
Yeah.
lot that I just keep going.
Yeah, man, you should have me on your list next year. We
Yeah.
should, because
We can make a full 100, I think.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Bit of a controversial one. This next one for a lot of people.
Oh boy, I know where you're going.
Number 22. Barbie.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Now I do think I need a second watch on this one. My takeaway from first hour, I thought was highly inventive and insanely funny. I really found it funny. Ryan Gosling in particular was just hysterical throughout. And I just thought all the visual gags and the production design and just the way the story was shaping up in that first hour. I mean, that opening with the 2001 Space Odyssey, that was just phenomenal. So I loved the first half. The back end of the second half really kind of started to feel like it was getting into preachy mode. And one too many people were giving these soapbox speeches where it started to feel like, okay, I feel like I'm being given an agenda now. And now I've got to sit here and work out what is that agenda. And I came away from it with my biggest takeaway being that whether you're male or female, you have to find your own identity. And that doesn't depend on a member of the opposite sex. So you have to go out by yourself and find yourself and become empowered because of who you are. And while that isn't necessarily a terrible message, for me, I would have rather have had this message of, look, men and women are different, but they are made to be together. They complement each other. Their differences complement each other. And that to me is where the film should have gone. Now, I've recently seen a video by Michael Knowles, who dissected the film, really loved it. He thought the film was fantastic. And he did a really great analysis that made me look at certain things in a completely different way, where now I kind of want to go back and watch it again. Because some of the takeaways he was getting it from it, like Ben Shapiro went complete opposite way. Ben Shapiro did it. His take was just like, no, this is like you kind of your woke.
He tried jumping the gun and he messed up.
Yeah, well, and Michael Knowles went completely opposite way and said, no, this is pretty right wing, to be honest. Yeah, this is really right wing. This is like it essentially ends on the woman saying, actually, I want to be a mother. You know, it sets you up for thinking she's going into like a high flying career path. But no, she's gone in to see a gynecologist. Why? Because she wants to choose the path of motherhood. So yeah, like it's a film in which every scene kind of works on two levels. And if I'm being perfectly honest, either I wasn't intelligent enough to get all those levels first time around, or I was already loaded from the start to come at this thinking, this is going to be. It's the
other thing that sucks about modern Hollywood, that you have one message or the other going into a movie. It should just be go in there and expect a movie. Like there shouldn't be any sort of message that you're predisposed to.
Well, that's the thing. These days I go into a movie, a Hollywood movie, and I fear the message.
Yeah.
I don't want to be preached to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I want a parable. I want to be given a parable where you're free to read whatever you're going to read from it. And
I
there's too
think
many.
excuse me, I'm sorry. I think the brilliant thing about Barbie is it forks where if you have like a feminist or left-wing, perception of it, you get that messaging somewhere in
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
like you said, if you have like a right-wing messaging system that you're,
yeah,
predisposed to, you have that messaging there too. Like
yeah.
it's like
And that's the beauty of it. That's
yeah,
why, and I think that's why it worked so well. I think
yeah.
that's why so many people went to see it,
And
because it
plus,
hit
technically speaking,
both.
it's brilliant.
Yeah,
I mean, the set design, the
yeah,
production design,
yeah.
incredible.
So like I say, of all the movies on this list, this is the one that definitely has the most potential to shoot right up there, and I think it will do. I'm going to give it a second watch, and I wouldn't be too surprised if by the time Lomax Movie Awards come around, it does actually find its way into, that top region.
It's my number 4 of the year.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's just when I put these slides together and when I put the list together, I put they were my initial thoughts, but since putting these together and looking at a few video essays and thinking seeing what other people thought about it, I was like, actually, you know what? I think I made the mistake of going into this expecting to be preached at about certain things from a certain side. So the moment like America Ferrara's character starts giving her big speech about what it's like to be a woman in the patriarchy, that's when I was like, oh.
Yeah, the high school kids, it felt a little heavy.
Yeah. But because to me, like everything she was saying, I was like, yeah, love that. That ain't being a woman in a patriarchy. That's being a human on planet Earth. Because I feel everything you've just said there at times. But yeah, again, like I say, I think from that moment on, it kind of lost me, and I just wanted it to end. So I wasn't giving it its due. I wasn't giving the rest of what was coming its due. And I think when I go back and come to it with a different mindset, I honestly believe it's going to go up in my estimation. But yeah.
Yeah, I think part of it, from whatever my pseudo left of center viewpoint is, when the America Ferrara was trying to design a depression Barbie, it's like, these toys were invented for something to thrive to.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the movie does a pretty good job of just how empty these jobs. I mean, even Ken, like I do beach, like, what we thrive to. Maybe this is an American thing, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, isn't quite reflective of today. But at the same length, these are things that you want to, aspire to. So why would you have something like a depression Barbie? Like, some of it was just like, yeah, I get it. There's people who suffer from depression, but if anything, they want to escape that, not, have that in their, toys that
Yeah.
they use for escape.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The third act, the second half, should I say, it gets a little in the weeds with some things, but it, I can see both sides. People who
Yeah.
hate it, like people who love it. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. I'm like you say you're slightly left of center. I think I'm probably slightly right of center.
Yeah.
And it's like all this, it's either completely right or completely left.
No.
It's like, no, it's come on, guys, just grow up. But yeah, like Jake, I don't impose things on movies. If a film leans into my politics, social values, cool. If it leans away from my politics, social values, fine. I was like that, Jake, about 5 years ago. But I find it so much harder to be that way these days with
Never go to
movies.
America. That's like, never go to America. Oh my God.
I would like to still be that way, but the problem is the movies right now. There's so many of them are so obviously imposing their position on us, and that's not the way it's meant to be. Again, I go back to the example of a parable. The whole point of a parable is you tell the story, and the audience that is listening to the parable, they have to think about it. The meaning behind it isn't just fully on display. You've got to go away and go, what does that mean? What? And the fact that you find the meaning by working it out yourself, rather than it being obviously on display, means that you've done the work, you own it. You then own the position that you're taking, the reading on the movie. But when you get a movie where you're not doing that, you're not coming away from it thinking, right, I need to think this through and figure out what was it trying to say. But you just sat there going, yeah, I know exactly what this is saying because it's hitting you over the head with it. That's my problem. That's my issue. And because I've come to expect that a lot these days, that's why I've started, against my better judgment, to take those impositions in to movies with me. And I hate it. I hate it as much as you do. I wish I didn't do that. But
his next point is pretty good. I agree with that pretty heavily. The Craig S. Zoller comment, it just popped up.
Like S. Craig Zoller, very much a right-leaning storyteller. I don't agree with his politics. Nonetheless, he's a fantastic filmmaker, writer, and one of the best working today. Yeah, I've only seen one of his movies, which was the Western.
Oh, Bone Tomahawk.
Oh, yeah, Bone Tomahawk.
Brilliant movie.
Yeah, like that. To me, I watched that and I didn't get anything political from that.
Oh, no.
I could be completely wrong. Like I didn't watch Bone Tomahawk and think that dude's clearly right-leaning. No, if there's right-leaning stuff in there, then as far as I'm concerned, it's hidden. You've got to find that yourself. And that's what I want from a movie. Like for me, I just saw a film about a bunch of people going into uncharted territory to rescue the ones they loved and getting into some really sticky, horrible situations. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dragged Across Concrete. You gotta put that in your queue.
Yeah, I will do. I did really like Bone Tomahawk. That one particular sequence, it did knock me a little bit sick. It's got to be said. And not again, not
Terrifier's coming.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You see, this is the difference between the directors and the material, because that sequence in Bone Tomahawk didn't knock me sick because of what was visually happening. It knocked me sick because what was visually happening was happening to someone that I deeply cared about.
Mm-hmm. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know. I'm just
it's
joshing you a little bit.
There was no characters in Terrifier. It was just, what's the sickest thing you can imagine?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to put that on screen. It's like, Whereas what Zala did in Bone Tomahawk, he built up these characters across the course of the film. And then when that moment happened, I felt physically sick because I cared about this guy. This brutal act that was just, it wasn't even a second thought to the person committing it.
Plus, it's not like you have that, like you have that gore going into that third act. Like it's pretty reserved as far as, I don't think there's anything that gory in that movie going into the third act. It's the surprise, the shock of it too, where, I mean, to use your point, Terrifier, it's just like, another one. Great. Okay. Oh, it's getting a little bit worse. It's getting a little bit worse. Where Bone Tomahawk, it's just like, oh my, where did this come from?
Yeah. and that's the guts of that kind of filmmaking is.
Guts.
I'm gonna have the balls to make you, the audience, care about these people, and then I'm gonna go to town on them, and
then I'm gonna take their balls.
Yeah. It's just that was hard to watch for all the right reasons. So yeah. Number 21 for me is The Burial. This is an Amazon Prime film, again based on a true story about. So Jamie Foxx plays this lawyer who basically takes easy cases and he makes a show out of them. So he's never lost a case because he's very selective, and so he got this reputation as this, like, big time small town lawyer kind of thing, but then this actual case, a big case, kind of lands on his lap, and he ends up pursuing it. And again, one of those true story movies where you know exactly where it's heading. There's no surprises in that regard, but the film just does a really good job of this relationship between these two guys on the poster. Two completely opposite guys, living in completely different necks of the wood, and yet they find common ground. They find a commonality between the two of them that, we've seen it 1,000 times before. You take two people who are on opposite ends of the spectrum. They shouldn't really work as a relationship, but they do. And they get together, they become friends. And as you watch it, you're endeared to that friendship. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. If you like true stories, courtroom dramas, then check it out. You could do much, much worse.
Tommy Lee Jones loves his courtrooms, huh? The Client, Batman Forever. Sorry.
Oh man, I need to take some pills. So number 20, some people might roast me for this one, but Luther the Fallen Son. I've never seen the TV series, so I'm reliably told the TV series is much better than the movie. But yeah, this was my introduction to Luther, and I enjoyed it, mostly because of the performances. I can't remember the name of the woman that plays the female cop in it, but her performance is brilliant in this. There's a moment towards the end of the film where she finds a certain character that's dead, and her reaction to that was just like so raw, so real to me, and just so well played. I just, like, it really jumped out at me as like a standout performance that was like, why isn't she getting any kind of recognition for this? Why isn't anyone like?
Is it Cynthia?
Yeah,
Erivo?
yeah, I think so. Yes, yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, she was phenomenal in this, and Andy Serkis as well made for a really, really great villain. Just this twisted, dark, messed up, evil son of a biatch. I don't know. People got the knives out for this one. Maybe not knowing the TV show, maybe not having followed the TV show, I had no expectations. Maybe the TV show is that good that the film is a disappointment. But again, like I say, having not seen the TV show, I've got nothing to compare it against. So I just went in, watched it, and I was like, I really enjoyed that. It makes me want to watch the TV show. So
you finish Breaking Bad first.
I'm just going to drag that out just to piss Cody off. Right. Here's another one. No, number 19. Extraction 2. This movie had no business being as good as it was. Now, the story, generic as anything. Right? You know, think of any generic action movie plot, write it on a postage stamp, send it in. All right, yeah, we'll make that. But what nobody told the director is that, yeah, this is something you can just shoot it, you know, like a couple of weeks. We'll get it out on straight to DVD kind of thing. We'll make a few bucks off it. Boom, we're good to go. Nobody seemed to tell the director that, because he thought, nope, I'm going to direct the crap out of this thing. So there's like one kind of take. Obviously, it's not really one take, but it's shot as one take. Action set piece. Well, several action set pieces. So the whole prison break. They break the people out of prison. They escape in the cars. They get on the train. The helicopter comes on the train, and it's all done as one take. And it's just like, it's phenomenally directed. Like, you know, it's. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the guy who directed this. He directed the first one as well, but definitely one to watch as a director, I think.
Sam Hargrave.
Right. Yeah. So he's not going to get any notice. He's not going to get any kind of recognition, like awards or anything like that. But that's purely because of the type of film it is and the script. Yeah, they're average at best. But the way it's directed, those action set pieces are some of the best action set pieces of last year. And I say that quite confidently. I would defend that statement against any other action set piece you can throw at me from any other movie this year. This has got some of the best. But yeah, so if you're just an action junkie, I think this would really float your boat.
Yeah, Cody told me about these. I hadn't seen the first one, and this is when I was slung up in a bed, and I was pleasantly surprised. The first one, I got to do a little double bill. First one, enjoyed it. You know, stuck at home, not moving, yacked up on painkillers. And the second one was other than the coming at you like a freight train, the double cross in the second tail end of the second act. Other than that, the second one was a really good time.
Yeah.
And there's a third one coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I just think this particular director, at some point, he's going to get landed with the right action script, like a Mission Impossible kind of thing. And then people are going to be like, oh, this guy's like one of the top action directors. Because yeah, but we'll see what happens. See what happens with that. Number 18, we've got Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget, a sequel to 1998's Chicken Run, I think it was, or 99 maybe. Yeah, a really great stop motion animation film. The original, a sequel, so many years after the fact, as we get a lot of these days.
Welcome.
I really enjoyed it. It doesn't really do a right lot that the original didn't do, but I don't care. It's lovingly crafted. You know, when you watch something like this and you see that no, actually someone has had to sit there and painstakingly move that little bit of plasticine, tiny little bit, for days, weeks, months, years, and you know, to get what we see on screen, it's a form of animation that it's not lazy. I don't think. You know, there's a lot they can do with computers these days that makes things a lot easier. I think doing stuff like this, a bit more old school. I just, yeah, I appreciate the craft that goes into it, and my kids absolutely loved it. They sat and watched the whole thing without getting fidgety and without deciding it was time to go and play with the toys or anything like that. They watched the whole thing, and yeah, so it as a family movie, it hit all the right buttons for me. But I don't think you've seen it, so we'll move on.
No.
Okay. Number 17 for me is Knock at the Cabin. I thought this was very well directed. I thought Shyamalan's direction on this was just really low key, really kind of like old Shyamalan. Just really, what's the phrase? Just well, you just take it right down. You know, get rid of your big budget. Just one location, few actors. Let's see what we can do with tension for an hour and a half. And I think the way he uses the camera, the way, I just think it's really very well directed. Is the script as good as it could be? Falls a bit short towards the end, I think, but I like the journey. I like the journey, seeing where it's going to go and whatnot. So yeah, it was a good mystery thriller for me.
This was 37 for me.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's shocking. That didn't
the
you say you only had
45?
45, yeah. 45.
I ever since I heard M. Night speak candidly about The Visit and how he felt about his own characters, about how it would be funny to witness old people go through dementia, like I just lost all respect. And again, going back to what we were talking about before, that baggage, like I just have that in the back of my head, whether or not I like it. And it's just like,
was he saying that though was it not meant to be taken as an off the cuff, like not a serious remark?
No,
like
Tim and I were at like a press screening in New York, and he was talking to the audience about how funny it would be to witness.
Yeah, but was he not just saying that to try and get the audience to laugh rather than actually meaning it?
I don't think so.
See,
he's not funny. I'll give regardless.
Yeah, well,
he's not a funny guy.
I'll agree with you on that front. Mm-hmm. He's not funny. When he tries to inject humor into his films, it doesn't really often work. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was trying to make an offhanded kind of sarcastic comment.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. So I won't dispute that.
It's just without having the clip, without seeing it for myself.
Sure. It's just that like always plays in the back. And I watched Old, and I'm like, this guy, he's got such a shallow view of certain aspects of life, and just
it's just I watched Old, and like to me, it didn't seem like someone trying to take the piss out of old people.
No. There's certain aspects where it's
so that's why I have that kind of. That's why I question the motivation behind what he said, because when I watch Old, I don't feel like I'm watching something that is said by someone who just said, "Yeah, I just wanted to take the piss out of old people," and genuinely meant that as a statement.
Well, no, he didn't say that specifically. He just made a reference to how funny it would be to witness seniors going through forgetting things, and it's just like, really. Yeah, I don't know about that.
I do wonder if there could have been some like mishearing or miscommunication.
Well, to go on the opposite end of the age spectrum with Old, he has 2 children that mate in that movie, and it's just like,
oh, sorry, I said Old, didn't I? When I was talking, I meant The Visit.
Oh, okay. Well,
okay. I meant The Visit, not Old. I've not seen Old. Old is the only.
Sorry, spoiler.
Yeah, no. So, no, the Visit. I saw The Visit.
Yeah,
and that didn't seem to me like a film that was trying to take the piss out of
Oh no. It's when you hear him speak about it, it's like, I didn't think that till the guy who directed it, who had the artistic vision, says that. And it's just like,
Yeah, but so that's why I think that contradiction kind of could be due to a miscommunication.
Yes, some things are better left unsaid, I guess.
Yeah. Number 16 for me, Megan. I had an absolute blast with this. This was the much better version of Child's Play 2019. I just, yeah, this was the film that I wanted Child's Play 2019 to be. It just, like, could you see where it was going? Yeah, like, the foreshadowing, like when she's showing the girl, the niece, around the room, and she comes across that other robot that you can control, and you're like, well, that's coming back later.
Yeah.
A bit like, Ripley does in Aliens, but it's just like, yeah, great. So we know that's going to be used to take Megan out in the end. But other than that, I had a blast with it. The film knows what it is. That's the thing. It's got no pretensions about being higher than its station. And I think it embraces the things that it should embrace. In the way that Cocaine Bear didn't quite embrace the things it should have done and clung too tightly to the things it shouldn't. This does the opposite. It embraces all the things it should do with a movie like this, and leaves on the floor the things that aren't really necessary. And as a result, I had a blast watching it. It was fun.
Yeah, I have this at 26. To your point, I mean, not like well, when this came out, we're 4 years removed from Child's Play 2019. But how many people have like Alexa in their home?
Yeah.
And like the fact that like this stuff is like catching up with, the ideas, and it's just like, no, I could believe that this doll can command my radio and stuff. So it's like the fact that technology is catching up with these absurd sci-fi ideas, and it's very believable.
Yeah,
and kind of scary.
And I like that they make her kind of human, but not like they didn't go to the
uncanny way.
Yeah, like I've seen actual robots in Japan that look like that. So that you look at that doll, you look at Megan, and that ain't out of the realm of believability at all. I've seen it. If it just YouTube and plus, Japanese robotics and stuff.
It's a tiny thing, but it gets extra points for me for doing it. It's expensive. It's not like this extravagant thing that can be in everybody's homes. It's this thing that they're like testing for rich people to have because status. So like it's not a incredible plot point, but the fact that they talk about the fact that this is incredible technology that only some of the more well-off families will be able to afford. It just that gives me an extra little layer of realism.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm looking forward to the sequel. So yeah, number 15 for me is John Wick Chapter 4. That 3-hour running time.
Was it that long?
Yeah, like I felt it. Don't know about you, but I felt it. Like I love the John Wick movies. I love what they do. Like the action set pieces are second to none with regards to Hollywood movie making. But 3 hours of bang, 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 punch, 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 kick, 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 punch, throw, throw, punch, kick, 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 punch, bang, 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 punch, punch, kick, 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 punch. I was just, by the time we got to that stair fight thing at the end, I was like, oh man. Admittedly, when he gets kicked down the stairs again, I pissed myself during that. I just thought that was hilarious. They set that up beautifully. But yeah, for this kind of movie, man, 3 hours. That was too much. It was too much. Yeah.
It was a nice ending. Why is there a fifth one?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You've seen this ballerina. Have you not seen that on? So look up Ballerina on Letterboxd. So
Okay.
it stars Ana de Armas. She's the main character.
Okay.
It takes place within the world of John Wick, and Keanu Reeves is in the
No.
cast as John Wick.
No.
So now I'm yes on it. Ana de Armas, yeah, sign me up.
Universes?
Ana de Armas, sign me up. I don't know if you saw the Continental, the TV show that he
No.
did. Really good.
Yeah,
Really good.
like I'm tired of like having to invest like weeks
Yeah.
into a film universe. Like,
Yeah.
stop, just
Yeah.
stop.
No, well, the Continental, it's a TV show, but it's 3 parts that
Oh,
are
okay.
that are each an hour and a half long. So it's basically just like 3 mini movies that make one big one. And for me, it was like, yeah, it was one of the best things out of all the John Wick stuff. It certainly had the most story, the most plot out of anything in the John Wick world.
Yeah, I just from film to film, like the end of 3, I remember being like, "What? How are you gonna explain this?" He fell off a building, and
Yeah.
like they just kind of glaze over it to open this movie, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"All right, so sequel to sequel, it really doesn't matter. You're Friday the 13th-ing this."
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so
Yeah. All that matters is the action.
yeah,
That's
I mean,
pretty much it.
it's gorgeous. I mean,
Yeah.
everything about it, right down to I mean, they're not doing flashy Taken 3 edits. I mean, you could see Keanu Reeves is doing the thing there. So
yeah, but he is slowing down. If you look at the action scenes over the course of the 4 movies, I mean, admittedly, he should be slowing down because these movies take place within a very short time span with each other. So some of the brutality is taken at this point. But
Point Break was 33 years ago now.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked it a lot. But like the first John Wick, it's an hour and 40. I can look at that and I can go, you know what? I can bang that on. I can bash that on right now. Watch it. Be done in a couple of hours. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this over a couple of nights.
Yeah, the expansion of the world too. It's like, all right, now we're going to Japan. Now we're going to Africa.
Yeah.
Just go, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Just get your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one was a nice little reserve story about, getting his car back, seeking revenge for his wife/dog. Okay. Manhattan, that's it.
I keep waiting for them to bring his wife back. And find out that his wife isn't actually dead. And it's like, yeah, it'll happen eventually. John Wick 17.
That was the other thing when the guy, the hunter or the tracer, whatever his name was, Tracker, and he had a dog, and I'm like, they're gonna play right into the first one with the dog. I know they are, and they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Right, moving on. Number 14 for me is Talk to Me. Have you seen this?
Yes, we're 14 together.
Yeah. Oh, we both put it at 14. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, dare I say the best horror film of the year? I don't think I've got another horror film higher than this. Yeah. There's one that's more comedy horror, but
I have that higher too.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as straight up horror goes, this was if not for the ending, the very ending that I didn't quite like. And I've done a video essay over on my Movie Evangelist channel that explains why I don't like the very ending. Up until that point, this was a 5-star horror movie for me. If it had just stuck the landing, literally like the last 2 minutes, this would be a 5-star horror movie. So
you talking about the stuff at home with the?
I'm talking about I don't want to be here all night. So yeah, if you want to know what I'm talking about, go and check out that video essay I did. But
when did you make that? I didn't get suggested that. I don't think
I put it out last week. I think it was.
Oh,
yeah, it was fairly recent. So
okay.
Yeah, but yeah, any quick thoughts on Talk to Me before we move on?
I was. It's funny we have the same spot, and I was going to say I liked how it could be ambiguous that tail end of the movie if because there was a point towards the middle where both Emily and I were like, what if some of this isn't really what's going on? And it wasn't so much what we were seeing or what was being shown on TikTok or whatever the hell the version of that was in the film. And the psychosis that was happening was interesting. I enjoyed it, but I think we have a bit of a fork in the road when it comes to the ending. So I'm curious. I'll watch your video and maybe we'll talk about it in a future stream or something.
I mean, I come at it purely from obviously from a Christian worldview.
Sure.
So I'm looking at this film, and throughout the film there was so much that I felt it was getting right with regards to how it should be treating this material from a spiritual point of view, and the very ending kind of it kind of undoes that a little bit.
See, I felt like there was ambiguity with what happened to the mother, and it was an interesting twist for storytelling purposes.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'll watch your video and we'll touch base maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Number 13 for me is Elemental, a Disney Pixar animated movie where I just thought, yeah, it was a good kind of look at being an immigrant. You know, it's essentially an animated film about immigration, about moving to another country and trying to assimilate, and all that entails.
Been dealing with that for 5 years now.
Yeah,
one side or the other.
Yeah, so it's just, you got this group of fire elements that move to a water city, and they've got to try and fit in. They've got to try and build a business, and yeah, it's just so it's about the differences, but also the where can they meet at the center, and it felt like it did that stuff well again without getting into any kind of preachiness, without getting into any kind of agenda pushing.
I don't think Pixar has been playing that game,
except with things like. But
if you're going to reference a hand holding scene, Lightyear sucked. It sucked. The fact that a gay couple held hands, I don't think that has. What?
No. Just let's just. I don't want to turn it into that, but no. Let's just say I disagree. It's just it's a culmination. Culmination of just constant bombardment of that stuff. Just pissed me off. So yeah, it just felt like agenda pushing. That's all it feels like to me. So Elemental, really great animated film. Now this could be controversial. I think a lot of people I think a lot of people in the comments are going to say, nah.
I keep waiting.
Number 12.
There it is.
Sound of Freedom. There you go. There's so much controversy and just political wranglings, and are they right-wing nuts? Are the left being going too easy on pedos and like all this stuff, this fervor that's like just been rallied up in the media? And as someone who has heavily researched human trafficking and what goes on and just how big it is and how it's conducted, and this film just got it right. Now, whether you know it's based on a true story, like you can argue, oh no, it's all bollocks, or the guy that it's based on, he lied about this or he lied about that. It's like, I don't know whether that's left spin, or I don't know whether this over here is right spin. It's become so political now that you can't just have an opinion about the movie itself. And my opinion on the movie itself, as far away from any real life stuff that it might be based on, is that it is factual. It is factual. This goes on. This is how it goes on. This is where it goes on. This is how the business is conducted, and it's scary. Like, as a parent, I don't know if you've seen Sound of Freedom, but
I have.
Right. So as a parent, that opening scene with the guy dropping his kid off at what he thinks is a audition for, and then getting there to pick him up at the end of the day and finding them all gone. That's horrific, but it's really well handled. Like, and I feel sorry for the director of this film, because he's just kind of taken a step back from it all. I just think he doesn't want to get caught up in all the stuff around it. He just wants to be a filmmaker. And so I look at Sound of Freedom, and I think it's a really well directed movie.
It's a well made movie. Technically speaking, it's well done.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have come out and said, it's average at best, and this, that, and the other. And I honestly think there's some political leanings that have played a part in that. I think they're being dishonest, to be honest. I look at this and I think, no, that's a really well-directed movie. And the thing that tells me that is that it shows you nothing. Everything's suggested, everything, like, just whether it's just that close-up of Jim Caviezel's eye as he's watching the videotape, you see all you need to see from that reaction of his eye. And I just think it's really well played. It's really well directed. It's really well shot. And it does things in a way that a Hollywood movie would do differently. Like the end of the movie, when Ballard goes in, this character played by Caviezel goes in to this camp to rescue this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets into where the girl is, but this general comes back in, and he tells the girl to quiet, and then he gets stuck into a fight with this general guy, but we don't see it, we hear it, because
he tells the girl to close her eyes.
I
thought we were experiencing it through her.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We hear it from her perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The film is interested in putting you into the child's perspective. It wants you to feel for the victims in this case. Whereas I feel like if a Hollywood studio had have taken this movie on, they'd have Liam Neeson'd it. That scene, we'd have seen what had gone on. We want to see a fight between these two guys because we want to see Caviezel's character kill this guy. He deserves death for what he's done. So we want to see it, but we don't get to see it because the director is interested in what's important, which is the child's perspective. And she closes her eyes. So we hear it. We hear the brutality. We don't see it. And it's little moments like that where actually I feel like this film is much better directed than some people have given it credit for. And from a factual standpoint, I don't mean facts regarding Tim Ballard and what he does. I mean facts regarding the world of human trafficking. It does so much right. And I think to dismiss it so easily as QAnon nonsense just does a disservice to an issue that frigging deserves more attention because it does.
Yeah. So the box office stuff that I gave it 2.5, and I put it right in the middle. I feel like it's not worth hype in either direction. I felt like it was a well-made movie. Some of it, which as far as just viewing it as a film, I understand it's based on a true story, and there's certain elements that, like, there's a scene where they liberate 54 children, and Jim Caviezel's character is like, "Well, we don't have the one," and it's like, dude, you just saved 54 children, and you're focused on this one. Like, we're married to this too, and like, I get it. They're
Yeah,
the
but that moment got Schindler List the best picture.
w-
You know what I mean? It's like that's a
I
genuine.
need to
thing
rewatch
that,
Schindler's List. It's
look,
been a
when
while.
it ends with him holding the ring, and he breaks down because he realizes, I could have saved someone with
Well,
this.
it's another thing as far as visually concerned. We open with that same crane shot into the girl hitting the drum on her bedroom, and we close with essentially visually. You're saying that, all right, nothing happened. This girl is back to playing her drum. You open and close with this same shot. Like, you know, everything that we just witnessed for an hour and a half is irrelevant.
Yeah. No,
and
not irrelevant. Not irrelevant. That's the wrong word. That's completely the wrong word. It's saying a wrong has been made right. That's what it's saying.
But she's got to have some trauma.
She is going to have trauma. The film's not saying she's not going to have trauma.
Well, visually, as far as just the images, it's just like, okay, so everything's back to normal.
No, the goal was for this guy to get this child back with her father, and that's what he did.
It's fair enough. I just feel like, I mean, to your point, I feel like the left making too much of a stink of this is just undeserved. The right saying that this is the most important film ever. Okay, that's strong. The fact that this was made,
again, both sides are out of whack. It's like,
I agree.
Yeah, it's that if you come to this with a center, or even maybe a little left of center or a little right of center, then I think you're coming to it with the right perspective. And for me, I got a really well-made film that was very well acted. The supporting guy as well, I really liked his character. You know, the guy that he meets, who's kind of like, he gets him into that world.
The sloppy guy with the weird shirts.
Yeah. Like, I really enjoyed his performance. I thought he was really good.
It was very, considering who produced the film, that it was made by a Christian studio. The fact that they didn't hold back with some of the dialogue, some of the subject matter, I was like, this is impressive. I mean, considering that stuff that I've taken in for the sake of the channel, like Unplanned, I feel you want to talk about messages, like, you know, be a little more subtle about it. But you know, this was just like where they're like courting children, and like, are you 12 or 15 with who's telling me 12? Or I forgot the exact line. I was like, oh my God, like, this is going hard. But my issue with it, as far as like my show business, the business end, they really gamed the system, and Hollywood is going to take that footprint that they just set, and they're really going to cheat numbers with that, because there was a lot of whatever they were doing with the pay it forward thing, a lot of empty seats, a lot of weird controversy, whatever.
It's what it is. I got one of those seats through Pay It Forward. I used that Pay It Forward scheme, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's what it is. It's saying, look, our audience, we can make a quality product if you pay for it, and the audience did, but the audience believed in that product so much that they wanted other people to see it. And I'm like that with The Chosen. So the same studio, Angel Studios, they've made the TV series The Chosen. Best thing I've ever seen about the life of Jesus and the disciples and all that. And I often wouldn't recommend a Christian-made film or TV show to friends who aren't,
Me?
devout Christians. The Chosen isn't one of them. I'd recommend it to anyone. I'd say watch it. If you don't feel something, if you get to the end of that first episode and you don't feel something, then all right, fair play. Feel free to not watch anymore. But I personally can't see anyone getting to the end of the first episode of The Chosen and not feeling something, not wanting to go a bit further. And that show was built on this. Look, you're the audience. What do you want to see? Is this content you want? And that's the system they've built. They get it. They create a pilot. They put the pilot up on Angel Studios app, and then they say, if you want to see a series based on this is how much money we need to raise to get it. So
Bryan, I don't dispute that at all. What I'm saying is, because of this precedent that is set, that Marvel, just for the sake of saying, see, the Marvel's 3 is the highest grossing movie of the weekend, they could inflate that with insincere, they could just pay it forward and do you want to see this? You want to see it for free? All right, well, here's a ticket. So like it's not a movie going audience that would pay $10.
Yeah, but the ticket has been paid for, though.
Right, but if you look at
I don't think someone who is a Marvel fan is going to pay it forward for someone to
I'm not saying a Marvel fan. I'm saying Disney's just going to put out a couple $100 million just to inflate their numbers, of course, and then they can claim losses. And the one thing that like really kind of was a sore thumb on this was the fact that theater industry was like, our concession stands are getting hammered by this. Yeah, we're selling out theaters left and right, but there's 10 people in that theater. We're not selling popcorn, and people aren't showing up for what was a sold out theater. This has nothing to do with the film itself, mind you.
No, I get that.
The business end of it, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for doing this. I'm just saying they gave Hollywood an idea, and if they take it and run, we're in bad shape, and the theater industry is in really bad shape. I mean, they're in bad shape anyway. But
I'm of two minds about it. Just because when I look at the Angel Studios app, it's working. They're making quality content, and there aren't a lot of Christian content makers out there that I can say that about. And the reason that it's working is because the audience is literally deciding. If they make something and it's crap, they don't fund it. The stuff that's getting funded is the quality stuff. So I think the methodology of how you fund the making of the show is where it should end.
Right.
But maybe the pay it forward thing, maybe that's the trick.
I'm talking about for taxes and stuff like that. It made $100 million, but we didn't pay for it. So it's just, I don't know, as somebody who's worked in a theater as well, like it's just, being of that mindset, like, oh, is everybody going? And again, the theater industry was like, we're not seeing our normal concession numbers from a sold out show. So if anybody's hurting right now, but again, I mean, you're the ones who are devoting 6 screens to Disney stuff. So take your medicine. But I agree with you, Bryan. In comparison to preachy stuff, Sound of Freedom is again down the middle for me. It's not any obnoxious one side or the other. It's just
it's a film about a real life figure who is a Christian, and the only line in the film that leans into that is when he said, "God's children are not for sale."
Yeah.
So
I think he said something at the end too, but
and it's just like, you could have gone all out with that. and made that.
Well, his character is a man of faith, so that's fine if he put it within the movie.
Yeah.
Right. And again, all right, go.
Yeah. Right. Number 11 for me is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. It kind of it goes for that vibe that the Spider-Man animated, the Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. It kind of goes for that type of animation vibe, and it works. It's like it's full of life. It pops. The characters are really well drawn. It's easily the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie for me, and that's not a particularly high bar, admittedly. But no, I took my kids to see it, and we all thoroughly enjoyed it. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, and I'll quite happily sit through another one of these if it's of this quality. So yeah.
Didn't see it.
Yeah. I don't have kids. I'm not watching some animated films. What the hell? Right. Number 10, and this is the comedy horror that I was talking about. Care to take a guess at what it might be?
Renfield.
Of course it is. Renfield. I had a blast with this.
As did I.
I thought it was. I'm really excited about about Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor. I think he's a great choice. Past few years now, I've found Nicholas Hoult to be one of those actors who's just always under the radar, but he's putting out really good work, really solid performances in big movies. Where I'm just like, you know what, this guy's much better than I think people realize. And yeah, I liked him in this. Really enjoyed what he gave. And then we got Nick Cage going full, full Nick Cage as Dracula. And yet it kind of works as a direct sequel.
A century later.
Yeah, to the Universal Bela Lugosi kind of, yeah.
The fact that they tied the footage in too, I was like, yeah, nice touch.
Yeah. I loved it. The jokes for the most part landed for me. There were a few duds, but ratio wise, it's like 8 out of 10 jokes kind of worked, hit the mark for me. The action was decent. It was pretty energetic. I liked the central character and his, the conflict that he had and how that was resolved. And it was a pretty short film as well, something like 90 minutes or whatever.
Nice and tight.
Nice and tight. Really tightly edited, well paced, didn't overstay its welcome. Left me thinking, you know what? I could go with some more of that. I didn't come out of it after a 3-hour bum-numbing running time thinking, well, it was really well made. I did enjoy it, but man, they could have cut, No, it was great. Loved it.
Yeah, I have Aquafina fatigue. If I have one gripe with anything that was in this movie, Aquafina being in everything, it's just like, all right.
I know she was in. Was it Shang-Chi?
She was also in The Funeral. She's been in a couple of things. It's just like, all right, slow down. Ocean's 8, she was in, I think.
Right. Okay.
Just a lot of, if it has any sort of humor to it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She's your diversity hire.
Well, there's that whole crowd, isn't there? There's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
They just, they all stick together and they all make films together. So of course they're going to hire each other, but yeah, makes sense. That's that whole partly kind of who aspect side to.
Well, I mean, we're going to get to Nolan in a minute, and he tends to reuse some people.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm definitely taking some heat for this one. Number 9, Rebel Moon, Part 1, A Child of Fire. I'm a Snyder guy. Never understood the hate. I totally understand some of the criticisms with Sucker Punch. although I do still enjoy that movie. But everything else he's done, I've found thoroughly enjoyable. And this, I can see that, yes, it's heavily edited. Looking forward to my Snyder cut, as usual. But
just said mind-numbing 3 hours. Okay.
I just
making sure it's the same guy who's talking.
Yeah. Just it's I like his style. I like what he does. You either like what he does or you don't. I'm one of those people. I like his style. I like the way he shoots action. I like his cinematography. I get the criticisms for this film, but again, it's the kind of criticisms that can be leveled at so many films that seem to get praised. That whole, it's the Seven Samurai thing. Okay, but we've seen so many films do that. We've seen so many films like take that template. It's a template. It's a film template that, Star Wars did, and like, I get it. Is this film as original as Star Wars? Hell no. But it's to my tastes a lot more than A New Hope. I would personally rather watch this again than A New Hope. And that's just because I prefer the style. I prefer that it's made for grown-ups rather than kids. I prefer that there are real world stakes that have emotional impact for the characters, unlike, say, seeing your homeworld get destroyed and then making quips the next time we see you. You want to talk about bad directors, George Lucas, it's like, and yeah.
I love that you're taking this time to slag off a 45-year-old movie.
Yeah. Still.
Yeah, Michael Bay with a better eye. Let's. I haven't seen this, so I have nothing to say.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I will defend Snyder to my grave. You're either a Snyder guy or you're not, and clearly I am. So, right. Okay. Number 8. Yeah.
I have that pretty high too.
Yeah. Big fan of. All right. You don't.
15.
All right. Yeah, that's reasonably high. 45. It's like
top.
Yeah.
Third.
Yeah. I like this kind of movie. I think some people came out against it a bit more harsh than needed to, but no, I like Affleck as a director. I like this kind of movie that is just people talking in rooms, but with really intelligently written dialogue that sounds more like music. It's not necessarily how people speak. It's that kind of Aaron Sorkin thing where
I love Aaron Sorkin stuff.
Yeah, like, everyone in the room speaks in a way that's way too smart for most common people.
And fast, like, whoa.
Yeah, but it's like, but I don't care because I'm not in the real world. I'm watching a movie, and I don't want them to talk down to me. I want them to talk up to me, and that's what Sorkin does with his dialogue.
Of course.
And that's kind of that's the way this film's written. It's playful, it's funny, the characters are well drawn. It's just a really good top tier drama that's well directed. So, like, I go back to May December that I mentioned earlier, how on every front, that is a top tier, well made drama. But I'm never going to watch it again. I'm not going to be filled with a desire to watch it again. If this pops up one night on TV, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was a good movie. I'm in the mood for watching that again. I feel like I will watch this again at some point. So,
Sean, this isn't a Jordan movie. This is a Nike movie. This is Matt Damon's character's movie. It's not Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan just happens to be the vessel for the sneaker.
Jordan doesn't even appear in
right.
it.
Well, that was Sean's right.
Yeah, as a character, he's there, but he shouldn't. It shouldn't really. It's not about him.
He's a vessel for what Nike is trying to do. Their division of sneaker.
Yeah. Number 7. big surprise for me. Dungeons
Oh,
and
yeah.
Dragons.
Yeah.
Like, this film had no business being as fun as
Oh,
it
yeah.
was.
Oh
Like,
my god.
even the trailers for this, I was a bit like, oh, they're trying that again. They're trying Dungeons and Dragons. Like, did they not learn the first time? But so I went to see this. I did a double bill, and I can't even remember what the other film was that I went to see. But the other film was the primary reason I went out for the double bill. And due to the scheduling, I was able to fit this in beforehand. So I only watched this because the timing was right, and when I came out of it, I knew I could go straight into the film that I was actually there to see. And the film that I was actually there to see, I can't even remember which it was, but I know it's a lot lower down on this list. It might be Blue Beetle, actually. I think it was Blue Beetle. And then I watched, like I watched this first, and I was like, damn, that was fun.
Yeah, why couldn't 65 be this?
Yeah. Like, give me a sequel to that. That set that world up nicely. Those characters are all really fun characters. They all have arcs. They all feel like people to me. And Hugh Grant is on his modern day Hugh Grant role of playing these likable cads that I seem to get a kick out of. So yeah, great, just fun, good fun blockbuster.
I agree.
Number 6, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Just felt like a Marvel Phase 2 kind of movie. You know, back when Marvel was still making good movies. There's a couple of movies in this last. Is it 2? Has there been 2 phases? Oh, I don't even care.
Phase 5, I thought they were on.
Are they on Phase 5 now? Yeah, like, I don't care. See, like I used to keep up with them.
Yeah.
You know, I cared about them, so I knew what was in what phase.
Yeah.
I don't care now. All I know is this is either Phase 4 or 5, one of the two. It feels like it belongs in Phase 2 or 3. But there's literally been like what, 2, 3 at the most movies that you could say that about in these, Phase 4 or 5 movies. Everything else has just been like, I don't need to see that again. But yeah, this again, it's James Gunn taking characters. that's the primary concern, is that these characters we're watching are characters. He does things with them that makes us care about them. The stuff with Adam Warlock kind of goes nowhere. They set him up to be something that, you know, like when they did all the publicity, you saw all these gold pictures of the actor who plays Adam Warlock, you know, this golden looking character. It's like, oh, what's he going to be? And it turned out not that much, to be honest. It was more like light comedic relief kind of thing. But other than that, really interesting villain and really kind of heartfelt story concerning Rocket Raccoon. Like, it's ridiculous. It's a CGI raccoon, and they make you care more about that little CGI raccoon in this movie than they do any actual human characters in any of the other Marvel movies in Phase 4 and 5. So yeah, that's character work. So
I thought I liked Guardians too, and then I rewatched this and that before, and I was like, oh no, I don't. Wow, this totally makes up for that.
Yeah. Definitely. So number 5 for me is The Killer. It's a film that in the hands of any other director would be pretty generic. It's a concept we've seen so many times before. A hitman pulls a job, but he cocks it up, So the organization he works for decides to take out someone he loves. So then he decides to take out all of them. Yeah, that's a postage stamp plot that we've seen done 1,000 times before. But you put it in the hands of David Fincher, and he tackles it from angles that we've not seen before.
Well, yeah, like, that it's so methodical. Like,
yeah, just that whole opening where we stick with him on a hit, and we just hear it again. The use of that voiceover. That's how you use a voiceover. You know, it's like it's just we're getting into this man who's literally his work. The 99% of his work is sitting in a room. What do you do if you've got to sit in a room for that length of time? You've got to limber up. You've got to make sure your back ain't gonna crick. You know, you've got to make sure you're flexible. It's just like certain mundane things that, like, the script writing and the direction is considered within the world of a hitman.
And you got to bring more than just one Smith's album.
Yes. Yeah. But it elevates a postage stamp story to something that is in my top 10 of the year. And that's what makes Fincher a world-class director.
You have a super chat.
Let me get to it. Here we go. Flame Tracks. Thanks for the live, guys. Always enjoying your opinions. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Always appreciated. Puts food on the table. Sometimes more than you know. I didn't forgot to there we go. Right. Left-handed guys, just remember. Right, number 4 is I know CP is going to give me some crap for this, but it's The Flash. So yeah, look. I'm
above the killer.
Look, this is pure, unadulterated fanboy talking here. I know that. I accept it. And I accept the criticisms anyone will have of this film, most notably the CGI. But you can't begin to understand the impact that those first 2 Michael Keaton Batman movies had on my life. Okay, they literally shaped my life, with my desire to become a filmmaker. I first noticed the impact of a director on film through those movies, because of the visual style. That's what made me want to become a director. It even shaped my taste in music, bizarrely. Susie and the Banshees became one of my biggest. I was a massive Susie and the Banshees fan during the 90s, and I found them. I discovered them through Batman Returns, and the first screenplay that I wrote, that still hasn't been made, but I've written a screenplay. It's based on a Susie and the Banshees song. It's all this stuff is connected, but like I say, those first 2 Batman movies, my love of Batman, for crying out loud, came out of those movies. So yeah, big impact on my life. So when Michael Keaton's phase as Batman kind of died, that was like,
I'm with you. That the Michael Keaton being Batman again, that was fun. It's just there was a whole bunch of other stuff going on.
No, it was more than fun for me. That I was just,
I get it. I get it.
Even on a second watch, I just, as soon as Keaton's on, I'm just, man, I'm in my movie heaven when he comes on. But aside from that, and if you can try and do the whole let's forget what Ezra Miller's done in his private life,
put a baby in a microwave in the first 10 minutes. Just what kind of movie are we watching?
To protect it. So it can, Look, I found that scene again, CGI, not great. But the scene itself, what it was going for, worked for me. I laughed in a way that I felt like I was meant to laugh in that scene. I felt that Barry Allen had a really solid story arc that actually teared me up a bit.
How did you feel when Indiana Jones hid in a refrigerator in Indy 4 to avoid a nuke?
That's a little bit different there, mate. It's a
They're both inside a box that normally is used in a kitchen. I don't have very many
yeah, but
points
there's
of
no
reference to
nuclear
compare it to.
blast coming at him. He's using it as a carrying device,
But
not a shield from a nuclear blast kind of device.
it's falling from the top of a building, for Pete's sake. All right, go on.
All
Go on.
right, anyway,
Do your fan service.
whatever. Look, I found the ending between Barry and his mum. You know, when he's accepting his mum's fate, and he's accepting that he's got to let go of her. That moment between him and her, I genuinely found to be moving, and for me, that's what movies are about. I want to be moved. I want to be entertained. And this movie did it. And yeah, because of the Batman stuff and the Man of Steel stuff, because let's not forget, for me, I'm a massive fan of Man of Steel. For me, that's still the best film in the DCEU, and it's also for me one of the most underrated comic book superhero movies ever. I love Man of Steel. So to go back there, revisit that, and with Zod and bring Supergirl, I really did like what they did with the majority of it. The thing that knocks it down the star is bad CGI throughout, and right at the end when we get all those kind of cameo things, that is just pure fan service. That wasn't handled particularly well.
Like,
But
why can't, like, listen, I don't when we talk about superhero fatigue, I'm in a coma. Why can't the Flash have his own villain? Why do we have to borrow Michael Shannon's Zod? Why do we have to lean on other people's villains? Like, why couldn't we develop a counter to the Flash for his movie?
Yeah, but he does have.
But it's other people's villains.
No, I'm not talking about Zod. I'm talking about the Dark Flash. The Dark Flash is really the main villain of this, at the heart of it, because he's the one, like
himself.
Yeah, he's battling himself, a dark version of himself. That is a he's a character from the comic books, but it's this notion that, like, you can keep on trying to change history, and the outcome is always going to make things worse, or you accept that pain is a reality of life, and you have to grow from it. So really, it's the main villain he's fighting is himself, and I like that. I think it works pretty well, and I think having Zod in there, to go up against while he's sorting all this personal stuff out with himself, I think works. I liked it. I'm a DC fanboy. I know that. I get it.
Well, we agree on something. I have it above Sound of Freedom too, so there's that.
Just out of interest, what position do you have it at?
It's 32.
Right. Okay. Number 3 for me is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I was gutted when I first saw this, because we got halfway through. Well, what I thought was, at the time, I thought it was like 2/3 of the way. I thought we were nearing the end, because I didn't know how long this movie was.
How long is it?
It's like 2.5 hours.
What?
Yeah. It's an animated movie. It's 2.5 hours.
Those poor animators.
Yeah, I know. But so we went to watch it, me and my kids. My boy's only 4 years old. It's too much for him. It's too fast, too much information, too many characters. it's a bit much to ask a 4-year-old to keep up with this, especially when he's not even seen the first one. So yeah, like halfway through, he was just like checking out, like, "Daddy, I want to go. I want to go." But you love Spider-Man. Come on. It's like, no, I want to go. So we ended up having to leave. So I was a bit kind of gutted. I was a bit like, all right, whatever. Yeah, picked it up on DVD when it came out because the first half was going pretty strong. So, and I did really like Into the Spider-Verse. So I thought, at the least, this is going to be a 4-star film, I reckon. So picked it up, I watched it, and it's really great. If the concluding chapter of the trilogy is as good as the first two, then this is a damn good trilogy that just happens to be animated. And is doing stuff with the whole multiverse thing that other comic book movies aren't doing with the multiverse stuff, because actually the character work that they're doing with those different universes is paying off, and is they're doing something with it. They're not just hopping into a universe and going, "Hey, look at that reference! Right, let's zoom off somewhere else." So yeah, it's good. It is a bit too long, a little bit too long. That's why it loses that half star. I am like kind of going, oh, I need to stretch my back out. Doing that now, actually. Let's get a move on. But no, it's really great stuff. Top tier comic book movie.
Just remember, Brian said he didn't want to go 3 hours. We're at 2:52.
I know. I can talk. When I get going, I can talk. It's just,
yeah, you can.
Yeah, I know it. It's a condition. I do live with myself. I am aware of it.
I don't know how.
Oh man, yeah, no, I don't. To be honest, I'm surprised I'm not. Yeah, right. Anyway, number 2 is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Just since Mission Impossible 3, really, for me, this franchise hasn't put a foot wrong. As far as action franchises go, this is the one that I want to watch. This is. Oh, there's a new Mission Impossible movie. I'm there. You don't even need to show me a trailer. I'm there. I know that Tom Cruise is going to be doing some wacky stunts that we're going to see him do on camera in wide shots, because it's him actually doing it. We're also going to get close-ups in spots that you wouldn't normally get a close-up, because they're able to put a camera somewhere where they're not having to hide a stuntman. That's what action cinema should be. That's, it should be invigorating. It should be exhilarating. It should take your breath away when somebody jumps off a cliff on a bike. It should make you go, oh, and it does. That to me is action cinema. That's what this franchise does. But again, as I always keep saying, they keep the element of character. They write good characters with arcs. They make you care about them. They've introduced a few new ones in this film, and I'm invested. Bring on part 2.
They've abandoned the part 2 thing, haven't they?
I've heard rumors of that. It'll be a bit annoying if they do, because how are you gonna, for the rest of time, this film will be called part 1.
Yeah. I liked what's her name? Palm. From Guardians.
Clementine.
As a villain. I was like, wow. Yeah. That's the one with the tentacles from Guardians. Huh?
Very, very little dialogue, and yet you get something from her that, again, like in so many movies that are filled with bad dialogue, where it tells you what the characters are feeling, which isn't really character building, it's just exposition. This is just, like I say, very little dialogue. She's practically a mime. I mean, even her makeup suggests she's a mime. It's like, So he doesn't say a right lot, and yet you get a sense of who this person is just through a few exchanges.
Yeah, if I have a gripe, I think I give it 4.5 out of 5, not 5. The fact that Ethan is so well, he has a bit of a I wouldn't call it a love triangle in this movie, but like how invested he is in this character that's a pickpocket and is throughout the movie has kind of tried her best to, I don't know, screw them over, for lack of a better term. And like the fact that he just keeps, having faith in the fact that she's going to do the right thing. It's just like, I don't know if what has this character shown you that?
Well, I think it's more that, and this is because he knows himself and he knows each member of his team. He sees something in her that he knows was in himself. Like it's more that he knows, look, you can keep going down this road you're on, and at some point you are going to get caught and you are going to end up in prison, or you can be on team. And I know for a fact, given your skill set, you would be a valuable member of the team. So I think it's his, as a team leader, he's showing that skill of putting his faith in someone and letting them know that he's putting his faith in them so that they come around. That's leadership. I just think, I really liked Hayley Atwell's character as well. I really liked their playful kind of tit for tat with each other.
I could have done without the pickpocketing so much, because like at a certain point when you do it enough, you're expecting it. And it's just like, do we have to hold the audience's hand through this? That like, oh yeah, she's the one who picks pockets. So I believe this at the end. It's just like, we could have just had the one at the airport and then the one in the third act. Why just keep doing it back and forth? Like, oh, I have a lighter now. So look, she's got the key.
I do like the villain in this as well, actually.
AI? You mean just AI?
Yeah. But the human that's kind of working to ensure that AI's survival as well. I like that it's like a religion for him. He's a religious fanatic, basically. And yeah, just the whole issue of AI at the minute, obviously being very pertinent. It's quite scary, the thought that something that powerful could be stuck on a sub at the bottom of the ocean, just waiting and maneuvering and moving pieces on the board.
Not just what? Oh yeah. Well, America lost 5 nuclear subs, so not just 1, 5.
Well done, guys.
But Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, he's going to kill himself making these movies. But like you said, I'm there for it. Like,
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, until it happens, I'm there. So.
The guy's selling out for his craft, man. I'm down with it.
Big time. So yeah, I don't think anybody needs to
joint
take
number 1.
Guesses. Yeah, I think there's 2 guesses what my number 1 is. Obviously, it's Christopher Nolan. It's Oppenheimer. It's Christopher Nolan on absolute banging form. This is a 3-hour movie that to me did not feel like 3 hours. I was so invested in the characters that this flew by for me. And again, it's just people talking in rooms, essentially. But
until the end.
But even that, the explosion, it's not Hollywood. It's not like,
no,
they don't Michael Bay it. Instead, it's almost like Nolan.
Michael Bay, they want to show Japan.
Yeah. So it's like I say, it's mostly people talking in rooms. But this is what separates a world-class director from a hack, is that how do you make that look visually interesting? How do you keep me invested? Well, through telling a damn good story with characters that I'm really rooting for, that I'm invested in, even though there may be some moral gray areas there. And it's just, start to finish. I just and like Nolan never insults your intelligence. He expects you to keep up with him. He's not just like, I'll slow this down a bit so you can take on board what's just gone on. No, it's just keeps rattling along, and it's jumping back and through timelines, so you can be like, hang on, where are we now, and how does that pertain to what we're just doing here? You have to kind of quickly play catch up, but it's worth that investment. When you do that, it's keeping you in, it's keeping you engaged, it's keeping you kind of in the movie. So yeah, and if Cillian Murphy doesn't get Best Actor at the Oscars this year, then it's I'd say at the moment for me is the forerunner. There's still some movies I've got to catch up on, obviously, but from everything here, at any rate, it's my favorite performance. So
yeah, to be the villain of this discussion here, I'm with you. 5 stars for me, number 1 for me. I'm paying attention. I love Christopher Nolan. I'm paying attention. Do we have to have audio issues? I get what he does. And
did you have audio issues?
I mean, both Emily and I, when we watched it, the first 20 minutes or so, it's just like, what are they saying? Like, I don't know if it was the mix or the cinema we watched it in, or what.
This is the thing. Like, I think it is the mix, but here's the problem, right? The problem is that Nolan mixes his films and probably plays them on the absolute most world-class cinema system that it is designed for.
Yeah.
You know, he'll view it in a screen that he has designed it for. And I think it's hit and miss with the public.
Yeah.
Because if you go to
we saw it in a small house.
Yeah, you go to a cinema where they don't really upkeep. They're just like, they're happy to take your money, and you sit on some scratchy chair that's got something sticky on it, and you're like, what the hell have I just sat on? Half the curtains ripped down the side. You've got marks on this. You know what I mean? It's like Nolan did not design his movie to be played on that kind of cinema. Unfortunately, that is the majority of screens it gets played on. So he gets this reputation for having these really bad mixes.
Yeah.
But if you go to a state-of-the-art cinema screen and you watch, like, whenever a Nolan movie comes out,
of course,
I
didn't have the choice. I didn't have the option of
I'm there. I'm at IMAX. I'm at a state-of-the-art screen. I'm making sure it's not some Fleabag kind of cinema, and I don't seem to get the issues that most people get. The only time that's ever happened for me was with The Dark Knight Rises, and I watched it at the Odeon in Trafford Centre, and I was like, oh no, please let me be able to hear Bane. But then I watched it again very shortly after at a different screen. I was like, in Liverpool 1. I watched it there.
Did you watch the prologue with the original Bane voice? Is that what you're talking about? Because I was with, like, the juxtaposition between Bane and the prologue.
No. I'm talking about the actual film.
Okay.
When it was released, went to see it opening day. It was at Odeon in Trafford Centre. I don't think it was on one of their better screens, and I was just like, oh no. And then, like, literally, like 2 days later, went to see it at Liverpool 1 on their, like, this was when, like, they were like, I think they'd done like a refurb, or I didn't know it was like new or something. There was new screens going on. They'd been doing a lot of work, and the sound on that was crisp. I heard every word that Bane said. So
if anything, Bane's voice in the film proper, like, he had the top layer there. You could hear him more than anything else in that movie.
So it's just, like I say, you got a guy who's at the top of his game. When he's making it and he's viewing the dailies, or he's reviewing cuts, he ain't watching it in the local.
That's fair. To go back to
and Ages of Air, aka Clayton. I like Nolan films.
Something that, for better or worse, this isn't a gripe or anything. It's just Nolan has this blueprint, this style of storytelling that I'm starting to pick up on. Again, Emily can attest to this. When we were watching it, and Oppenheimer's character meets up with Einstein, I leaned over and I said, "We're going to find out what the hell they said to each other when this movie's over," because it's something that we saw in Inception. It's something that happened in Tenet, where he does this thing where he shows you like a wide shot of two people talking, and eventually, you keep cutting to it, and like it. There's no gripe here. It's just something that you can. Wait a minute, Nolan's gonna slowly but surely tell us.
There's a style, and again, there's nothing wrong with repeating something you've done before.
Not at all.
Just as long as you're using it in a way that is appropriate, and it's just about perspective. He's a director who's very interested in perspective. He likes to deal with time, and he likes to deal with how certain perspectives affect the way you look at the narrative, which is why he plays with time a lot, because
that's probably the through line throughout his career is time.
Yeah. So it's just So I have no problem with that. It's like
no, I wasn't complaining. I was just
I know you weren't. It's like Tarantino. He used the same thing with Inglourious Bastards. With the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as he did with Inglourious Bastards. Except for me, it actually made more of an impact on me with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, just because of what I was expecting, just because I knew the story of
Sharon Tate,
and just the sense of dread for me all the way through Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was like, it was just, he plays on that sense of dread and then completely twists it on its head, and you're like, oh yeah, you did that in Inglourious Bastards. But the thing is, it doesn't matter, because it worked in Inglourious Bastards, but guess what? It works here as well. So yeah.
Who is the bad guy from Tenet that he wasn't too prominent in Oppenheimer?
Oh, Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to see more of him. I mean, granted, just a tiny little thing. But yeah, Nolan likes to use the same actors over and over again.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that came as a shock to no one. That was my number one. But yeah, there you go. Whether it will remain my number one by the time I've gotten around to seeing loads of other films that I need to get around to seeing. I have made a list on Letterboxd of the films from 2023 that I do want to watch before I get around to doing my Lomax Movie Awards things. And for some silly reason, my laptop ain't loading it up. I was going to try and load it up then, but yeah, I know Past Lives is on there. A bunch of others. Yeah, so there's a whole host of films that I do want to get to. Poor Things. Yeah, there's about 20 movies, to be honest, that I'm like, I could really do with seeing them based on what I've heard. But whether I get around to them all or not, I don't know. But
to kind of touch on the year ahead, I don't think we've talked about this. I know you're a big Planet of the Apes, the Rise trilogy. How do you feel about them making another one?
I'm happy, because as far as I'm concerned, Matt Reeves and the other director, who always gets forgotten, even though he shouldn't, because he did the first one that was really awesome. Rupert something.
Wes Bell?
No, Wes Ball's doing the new one. So I mean, so the guy who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes, is it Rupert Wyatt?
I can find.
I can't remember, but yeah, basically Rise of the Planet of the Apes, the one that kickstarted that trilogy. Again, that was a film that had no right to be as good as it was. And Rupert Wyatt, yeah. Like, he doesn't get enough credit. He set that new world up, really. And I love Matt Reeves, big fan of the Batman. I think Matt Reeves is a great director. But I do think that, and I do think Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is the best film of the bunch. But without Rise, there wouldn't be Dawn. And I think it's Rupert Wyatt who he really does deserve more credit for setting up that world and doing a damn good job with it, because Rise was a big surprise for many people, I think, when it came out. And he really paved the way for Matt Reeves to just come in and then, like, yeah, slam dunk it. But Wes Ball is a director that I actually like. I mean, I know he's only made the Maze Runner films, and no, you can pull that face because it's like, oh, it's YA novel adaptations, but like, push aside that nonsense for a moment and just think, how are they directed? And I think that they're actually directed pretty well. I think from an action standpoint, for the budget he was given, obviously that budget went up with each film. I think he did a good job with them movies. And when it comes to young adult novel adaptations, I think it's one of the better ones. Definitely sits in the better camp. I thought it was a pretty solid trilogy myself, personally. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's doing. Obviously, he's got a lot of people behind him in the studio as well that are going to be like, let's make sure we get this right. Let's make sure we get that right. It's I think it's in good hands. As good as Matt Reeves, no, but I think
War was such a great way to close, though.
Yeah, but it is closed. This is the thing.
Yeah.
Caesar's story is over. So as far as I'm concerned, that is a trilogy that stands alone. And it goes to that whole argument again that, like, people always say, oh, you ruined my childhood by doing it. No, you didn't. It's like they made a crap film and you don't ever have to watch it again. If it's crap, don't watch it. Stick to the ones you loved. That trilogy has a solid ending. So if this film is crap, then I just forget it and I pretend that that's where it ended. But if this one's good, then great. We've got the start of a new trilogy. And so far, I've been really invested in this world. So I've got every reason to root for it. I want it to succeed. I want it to be good. Hopefully it is. And if it is, I believe we'll be getting a new trilogy. So, yeah. But Dune Part 2 is that's the one I'm waiting for this year.
Why a sequel to Gladiator? What?
Oh, man. Yeah. Right. Anyway, we've pushed this well beyond the point of good sense and reason. It has been going for 3 hours and 14 minutes. So, yeah, I thank you to everyone who joined in. I'm sorry I didn't, read loads of comments and stuff. It's just, like I say, over 3 hours, that takes the mick. And if I'd have been reading comments on every film we discussed, oh man, I'm supposed to be getting up at 6. It's like
don't go to bed. Why even bother?
3.5. Yeah, I know, 3.5 hours, man. Cool. Cool.
Emily's gonna be up in an hour.
Yeah, no, but she's actually in bed asleep. I'm up here talking to you. It's like, okay, so yeah, but thank you to everyone who joined us in the chat. Hopefully you had fun kind of interacting with each other. And thank you guys for super chats. It's been a blast. CP, you got anything coming up on your channel?
I may do my, I don't know. It all depends. But if you want to hear 2 other people from Top Stream talk about our pleasant surprises and bottoms and tops, Cody and I discussed stuff that we recorded last week on my channel. So,
okay,
yeah,
excellent. All right,
we're going to be in the same frame at some point before I head back home. So there's that.
It's got to happen. If I can stop breaking body parts.
Well, if that's the case, then I have no business being here.
Okay. Nice one. And on that note, all I will say is thanks for watching. And am I on the right thing there? I'm going to do that thing where I cock up the final stretch of my stream by pressing on the wrong thing. And I don't want to do that.
Can you hear us? So. Just chat if you can hear us.
Yeah. Right, where am I? I've got totally gone tits up. Totally gone. Where is it?
End stream. The button says end stream.
No, see, that's overlay. I need. Yeah, right, here we are. Here we go. Like a true professional. Crisp, clean, out with a bang. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Cracking.